We often find ourselves searching for a sense of lasting happiness, a feeling of being truly at home in the world, yet so much of what we encounter seems to be in a constant state of flux. This inherent quality of change is something we all feel, a subtle underlying tension that exists even in our most joyful moments because we know deep down that everything is temporary. When we talk about the nature of our experiences, we are really touching upon the first great truth that was shared so long ago. It is the simple acknowledgement that life, by its very nature, involves a degree of unsatisfactoriness or friction. This is not a pessimistic view, but rather a very honest and compassionate observation of the human condition. We see it in the small frustrations of a missed train, the lingering ache of a lost friendship, or the heavy weight of grief that can sometimes feel like an ocean we are trying to swim across. Everyone carries their own unique bundle of these experiences, and acknowledging this common thread is the first step toward a deeper kind of understanding and connection with one another. There is a beautiful story from the time of the Buddha about a young man named Yasa who lived a life of immense luxury and comfort. His every whim was catered to, and he was surrounded by beauty, music, and the finest things the world could offer. Yet, despite all this external abundance, Yasa felt a profound sense of inner emptiness and distress. One night, after a lavish party, he looked around at the sleeping forms of the musicians and attendants and felt a sudden, overwhelming realization of the hollowness of his existence. He walked out into the night, wandering toward the deer park in Isipatana, where he encountered the Buddha. The Buddha did not tell him to suppress his feelings or that his wealth was evil. Instead, he spoke to him with great kindness and began to explain the nature of that very restlessness Yasa was feeling. He showed him that the discomfort was not a personal failure but a natural part of a life lived without understanding the deeper truths of existence. As we sit with this idea, we can see how our own lives mirror that of Yasa in different ways. We chase after various goals, believing that once we achieve them, we will finally be at peace. But then we reach that milestone, and almost immediately, a new desire or a new worry takes its place. This cycle is like trying to quench thirst by drinking salt water. The more we drink, the thirstier we become. This thirst, this deep-seated craving for things to be different than they are, is what creates the friction we feel. It is not just about wanting material possessions. It is also the desire for certain feelings to last forever or for unpleasant situations to vanish instantly. We want the summer to stay, the youth to remain, and the people we love to never change or leave us. Understanding this craving requires a very gentle and non-judgmental look at our own minds. We are often so caught up in the whirlwind of our likes and dislikes that we do not see the mechanism at work. We react to the world based on these deep-seated patterns, constantly pushing away what we find unpleasant and pulling toward us what we find pleasant. This constant tug-of-war is exhausting. Imagine holding a heavy rope and pulling against an invisible opponent all day long. The moment we let go of the rope, there is a sudden and profound sense of relief. That letting go is not about becoming indifferent or cold. It is about developing a spaciousness in the heart that can hold all experiences without being shattered by them. In the ancient texts, there is an account of a woman who was deeply attached to her beautiful appearance. She spent hours every day admiring herself and ensuring she was adorned in the finest silks. When she met the Buddha, he used a direct and powerful way to show her the reality of change. He created a vision of an even more beautiful woman standing beside her, and then, right before her eyes, he made that vision age rapidly. She saw the skin wrinkle, the hair turn gray, and the body eventually crumble. This was not meant to be a frightening lesson, but a liberating one. By seeing the inevitable flow of time and the transient nature of beauty, she felt a sudden release from the burden of her own vanity. She realized that her true value and peace did not depend on something as fragile as her physical form. This realization brings us to a very hopeful point. If the friction in our lives has a cause, which is our own craving and misunderstanding, then it follows that there is a possibility for that friction to cease. This is the third great truth, a promise of a state of being that is beyond the reach of constant wanting and fearing. It is like finding a clear, cool spring in the middle of a vast and dusty desert. This state of peace is not something we have to create from scratch. It is more like clearing away the clouds to reveal the sun that has been there all along. Our natural state is one of clarity and kindness, but it often gets obscured by the dust of our daily anxieties and the storms of our emotions. When we begin to catch glimpses of this inner stillness, our perspective on everything changes. We start to see that the challenges we face are not obstacles to our happiness, but the very ground upon which we can grow. A lotus flower does not grow on a polished marble floor. It needs the mud to take root and the water to rise through. Our difficulties are that mud. They provide the necessary nutrients for our wisdom and compassion to develop. Without the experience of struggle, we could never truly understand the struggles of others. It is through our own tears that we learn how to wipe the tears from another person's face with genuine tenderness. There was a time when a group of friends were traveling together and one of them stole a bag of valuables and ran away. The others were frantic, chasing after the thief and filled with anger and desperation. They came across the Buddha sitting quietly under a tree and asked if he had seen the thief. The Buddha looked at them and asked a very poignant question. He asked if it was better for them to go looking for the thief or to go looking for themselves. This simple question stopped them in their tracks. They realized that in their outward pursuit and their reactive anger, they had completely lost touch with their own inner balance and peace. They had become so focused on what was lost that they forgot the most precious thing they still possessed, which was their own capacity for awareness and calm. Finding ourselves in the midst of a busy life does not mean we have to run away to a mountaintop. The path toward peace is walked right in the middle of our everyday responsibilities. It is found in the way we speak to the person at the grocery store, the way we handle a difficult email, and the way we treat ourselves when we make a mistake. It is a path of balance, avoiding the extremes of harsh self-denial and mindless self-indulgence. We can think of it like tuning a musical instrument. If the strings are too tight, they will snap. If they are too loose, they will not produce a sound. We look for that middle way, where we are alert and engaged with life, yet relaxed and open. This balanced approach involves cultivating a clear and kind way of seeing the world. It starts with how we understand things. If we truly see that all things are interconnected and that our actions have consequences, we naturally begin to act with more care. We see that causing harm to another is ultimately causing harm to the fabric of the world we all live in. This is not about following a set of rigid rules but about developing a natural sensitivity to the ripples we create. When we throw a stone into a pond, the ripples touch every part of the water. Our words and actions are those stones. Reflecting on how we communicate is a vital part of this journey. So much of our modern world is filled with noise and harshness. We can choose to be a source of something different. We can practice speech that is truthful, but also timely and kind. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can say is nothing at all, offering instead the gift of our silent and attentive presence. Listening is an act of deep generosity. When we truly listen to someone, without preparing our next response or judging what they are saying, we are telling them that they matter. This creates a space where healing can happen naturally. There is a story of a person who was very prone to anger and would often say hurtful things to those around them. They went to a wise teacher who told them to drive a nail into a wooden fence every time they lost their temper. At first, the fence was quickly filled with nails. Over time, as the person became more aware of their anger, they began to drive fewer nails. Eventually, they reached a day where they did not lose their temper at all. The teacher then told them to pull out one nail for every day they remained calm. Finally, all the nails were gone. But when the person looked at the fence, it was covered in holes. The teacher pointed out that while the nails were gone, the scars remained. This reminds us of the lasting impact of our words and the importance of gardening our hearts so that we plant seeds of kindness rather than thorns of resentment. Our physical actions also play a huge role in the atmosphere we create around us. Choosing to live in a way that respects life and the belongings of others brings a sense of integrity and strength. When we are not hidden behind lies or the guilt of having harmed others, our minds become naturally more peaceful. This inner honesty is a sanctuary we carry with us wherever we go. It allows us to look anyone in the eye with a clear heart. This simplicity of life is not about being boring or lacking ambition. It is about finding a richness in the present moment that no amount of external success can ever match. The effort we put into this is not a straining or a forcing. It is more like the steady, gentle effort of a gardener tending to their plants. We pull out the weeds of greed and hatred, and we nourish the flowers of generosity and love. Some days the garden looks beautiful, and other days it might feel overwhelming, but we keep showing up with patience. We understand that growth takes time. You cannot pull on a sprout to make it grow faster. You can only provide the right conditions and let nature take its course. This patience with ourselves is perhaps one of the most important qualities we can develop. We are all works in progress, learning and unlearning as we go. Developing a focused and calm mind is like clearing the silt from a glass of water. If we keep stirring the water, it remains cloudy. But if we let it sit still, the silt naturally settles to the bottom, and the water becomes crystal clear. In that clarity, we can see things as they truly are. We begin to notice the subtle movements of our thoughts and feelings without getting swept away by them. We see a thought of worry arise, and we can say to ourselves, "Oh, there is a thought of worry," without becoming the worry itself. This tiny bit of space between ourselves and our reactions is where our freedom lies. There was a traveler who was caught in a heavy rainstorm and sought shelter under a large tree. As they sat there, they noticed a tiny ant struggling to carry a piece of grain up the trunk. The ant fell back many times, but each time it got back up and tried again. The traveler was moved by the ant's quiet persistence. It did not complain or get discouraged. It simply kept going until it reached its goal, we can bring that same spirit to our own practice. No matter how many times we find ourselves lost in distraction or old habits, we can always simply begin again. Each breath is a new beginning, a fresh chance to be present and kind. This path of understanding and kindness is often described as having several interconnected branches, all working together like the parts of a tree. Each part supports the others. Our understanding informs our actions, and our actions create the stability for our minds to become more focused. As our minds become more focused, our understanding deepens even further. It is a beautiful, self-reinforcing cycle that leads us toward a life of greater meaning and ease. We start to realize that we are not separate from the world around us. We are part of a vast, breathing web of life, and every positive change we make within ourselves has an effect on the whole. Consider the way a single candle can light thousands of other candles without its own light being diminished. In the same way, when we cultivate a heart of peace and clarity, we do not lose anything by sharing it with others. In fact, our own light only grows brighter the more we use it to illuminate the lives of those around us. We can be a steady presence for a friend in distress, a calm voice in a heated argument, or simply a person who walks through the world with a sense of quiet joy. These small acts are not insignificant. They are the very things that make life beautiful and worth living. In the old stories, there is an account of a king who wanted to find the most peaceful painting in the world. Many artists brought their works, showing calm lakes, beautiful sunsets, and quiet forests. But the painting the king chose was quite different. It showed a wild, crashing waterfall during a fierce storm. The sky was dark with lightning, and the trees were bent by the wind. But tucked away in a small crevice of the rock, right behind the waterfall, was a tiny bird sitting calmly in its nest. This is the kind of peace we are talking about. It is not the absence of storms, but the ability to find a steady center right in the heart of them. It is a peace that is resilient and grounded in a deep understanding of the way things are. We often think that peace will come when all our problems are solved. But life is an endless series of problems and challenges. If we wait for everything to be perfect before we allow ourselves to be at peace, we will be waiting forever. True peace is the ability to be okay even when things are not perfect. It is the ability to say, "This is difficult right now," and that is okay. We can hold our difficulties with the same tenderness that a mother holds a crying child. We do not have to fight against our life. We can learn to flow with it, like a river that moves around the rocks in its path rather than trying to push them out of the way. The stories of the Buddha often highlight his incredible equanimity. Once, a person came to him and spent a long time shouting insults and trying to provoke him. The Buddha listened patiently, and when the person finally stopped, the Buddha asked him, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The person replied that it would still belong to the giver. The Buddha then gently explained that he did not accept the insults, and so they remained with the person who spoke them. This is a powerful reminder that we do not have to take on every emotion or every bit of negativity that comes our way. We have a choice in how we receive the world. We can choose to be like a vast ocean that can absorb any amount of salt without becoming salty. As we continue on this journey, we start to see that our sense of self is not as solid as we once thought. We are more like a process than a thing. We are a constantly changing flow of physical sensations, feelings, perceptions, and thoughts. When we look closely, we cannot find a permanent, unchanging core that we can call me. This might sound unsettling at first, but it is actually deeply liberating. If there is no solid self to protect or defend, so much of our anxiety starts to fall away. We can move through the world with more lightness and flexibility. We are no longer so burdened by the need to be right or to be seen in a certain way. Imagine a river. It is called the same river from one day to the next, yet the water flowing in it is always different. We are like that river. This understanding allows us to let go of our past mistakes and our worries about the future. We are not defined by what happened yesterday, and we are not bound by what might happen tomorrow. We are this living, breathing presence right now. This presence is where our true power lies. When we are fully present, we are more likely to make choices that lead to happiness and less likely to repeat the patterns that cause us pain. There was a famous monk who was known for his incredible calmness. One day, a person asked him how he managed to stay so peaceful even when things went wrong. The monk replied that he simply treated everything that happened as if it were a guest in his home. If joy arrived, he welcomed it and offered it a seat. If sorrow arrived, he did the same. He knew that guests do not stay forever. They arrive, stay for a while, and then they leave. By not trying to keep the pleasant guests or kick out the unpleasant ones, he remained a steady and welcoming host of his own life. This approach allows us to experience the full range of human emotions without being controlled by them. In our daily lives, we can practice this by simply noticing our experiences as they arise. We can notice the feeling of the breath as it enters and leaves the body. We can notice the sensation of our feet on the ground as we walk. These small moments of mindfulness are like anchors that keep us from being swept away by the current of our busy minds. They bring us back to the reality of the present moment, which is the only time we can actually live. We often spend so much time planning for the future or ruminating on the past that we miss the beauty and the opportunities that are right in front of us. Kindness is the natural expression of a mind that is starting to understand itself. When we see our own struggles clearly, we cannot help but feel compassion for the struggles of others. We see that everyone is just trying to find happiness and avoid pain, even if their methods are sometimes confused or harmful. This compassion is a powerful force for change. It allows us to respond to the world with an open heart rather than a clenched fist. It softens our boundaries and helps us to see the common humanity that connects us all, regardless of our backgrounds or beliefs. The story of Angulimala is a striking example of the transformative power of compassion. He was a man who had been driven to commit terrible acts and was feared by everyone. Yet, when he encountered the Buddha, he was met not with fear or anger, but with a steady and profound kindness. This encounter changed him completely. He let go of his violent ways and dedicated the rest of his life to helping others. It reminds us that no one is beyond redemption and that the seeds of goodness are always present, even in the most difficult circumstances. All they need is the right environment to begin to grow. We can cultivate this kindness in small, everyday ways. It can be a smile to a stranger, a helping hand to a neighbor, or simply a kind word to ourselves when we feel discouraged. These actions create a positive momentum that carries us forward. They build a sense of community and connection that is a vital part of our well-being. We are social beings, and our happiness is deeply tied to the happiness of those around us. By contributing to the well-being of others, we are also nourishing our own hearts. It is helpful to remember that the path we are discussing is not a straight line. There will be ups and downs, periods of great clarity and periods of confusion. This is all part of the process. The important thing is to keep moving forward with a sense of curiosity and playfulness. We can treat our lives like a great adventure, where every experience is an opportunity to learn something new about ourselves and the world. We do not have to have all the answers right now. We just have to be willing to ask the questions and to look with honesty and kindness. The wisdom we seek is already within us, like a treasure buried in the ground. Our task is to patiently dig away the layers of misunderstanding that have accumulated over time. As we do this, we find that we are more capable and more resilient than we ever imagined. We find a source of strength that does not depend on external circumstances. This inner strength allows us to face the uncertainties of life with a steady heart and a clear mind. We become like a mountain that remains unmoved by the changing seasons and the passing clouds. There was once a stone carver who worked long hours in the heat. He saw a wealthy merchant pass by and wished he could be as comfortable and respected as the merchant. To his surprise, he became the merchant. But then he saw a powerful king and wished to be the king. He became the king, but then he felt the heat of the sun and wished he were as powerful as the sun. He became the sun, but then a cloud covered him and he wished to be the cloud. He became the cloud, but then he saw that the wind moved the cloud and he wished to be the wind. He became the wind, but then he found he could not move a large stone and he wished to be the stone. He became the stone, but then he felt a chisel carving into him and he realized that the stone carver was the most powerful of all. This story beautifully illustrates the futility of constant comparison and the importance of finding contentment in who we are. True contentment is a quiet and steady joy that comes from being at peace with the present moment. It is the realization that what we have right now is enough. This does not mean we stop striving or growing, but that our growth comes from a place of fullness rather than a place of lack. We are no longer constantly looking over our shoulder at what others have or worrying about what we might be missing. We are fully engaged with our own lives, finding beauty and meaning in the simple things. A well-cooked meal, a conversation with a friend, or the sight of the stars at night become sources of deep gratitude. Gratitude is a wonderful practice for opening the heart. When we focus on what is going right in our lives, our perspective shifts. We start to see the abundance that is always present, even in difficult times. We can be grateful for our breath, for our senses, and for the people who have supported us along the way. Even the challenges we face can be seen as opportunities for growth, and for that, we can also be grateful. This practice of gratitude acts like a magnet, drawing more positivity and peace into our lives. The way we spend our time and energy is a reflection of what we truly value. When we prioritize kindness, awareness, and balance, our lives naturally become more harmonious. We find that we have more to give and that we are more resilient in the face of stress. This is not a selfish pursuit, because a person who is at peace is a benefit to everyone they meet. Our inner state is contagious. When we are calm and kind, we give others permission to be the same. This is how we can truly contribute to a more peaceful world, one heart at a time. There was a wise old man who lived on the edge of a village. People would often come to him for advice. One day, a person asked him how to find happiness. The old man told them to take a spoonful of salt and put it in a small cup of water and drink it. The person did so and said it tasted terrible and was far too salty. Then the old man took them to a nearby lake and told them to put a spoonful of salt into the lake. Then he asked them to drink some of the lake water. The person said it tasted fresh and clear. The old man explained that our suffering is like the salt, but our mind is like the container. If we have a small, narrow mind, even a little bit of trouble feels overwhelming. But if we can expand our mind and make it as vast as a lake, the same trouble will not bother us. Expanding our mind means developing a larger perspective and a more spacious heart. We do this through the practices of mindfulness and compassion. We learn to see beyond our own immediate concerns and to recognize the vastness of the human experience. We see that we are not alone in our struggles and that there is a deep and beautiful mystery to life that goes far beyond our logical understanding. This sense of wonder and connection brings a lightness to our days and a depth to our relationships. We can also find great inspiration in the lives of those who have walked this path before us. Their stories are like maps that can guide us when we feel lost. They remind us of what is possible and encourage us to keep going. Whether it is the story of the Buddha himself or the stories of modern-day practitioners, we see a common thread of courage, persistence, and a deep commitment to kindness. These qualities are not reserved for special people. They are inherent in all of us, waiting to be nurtured and brought to life. A life lived with awareness is a life of continuous discovery. Every moment is an opportunity to see something new, to learn something about ourselves, and to respond to the world with more wisdom. We start to notice the intricate beauty of the world around us, the way the light changes throughout the day, the complex patterns of a leaf, and the subtle shifts in our own emotions. This attentiveness makes life feel more vivid and meaningful. We are no longer just going through the motions. We are truly alive and present for our own existence. In our journey toward greater understanding, we often encounter the idea that we need to be more than we are. But perhaps the real work is in learning to be exactly who we are, with all our imperfections and quirks. When we stop fighting against ourselves, we find a deep sense of relief. We can finally relax and be comfortable in our own skin. This self-acceptance is the foundation for a true and lasting kindness toward others. It is only when we are kind to ourselves that we can be truly kind to the world. There is a wonderful image of a person holding a candle in a dark room. The candle does not light up the entire room at once, but it provides enough light for the person to take the next step. This is how we walk our path. We don't need to see the whole way to the end. We just need enough light for the step we are taking right now. If we can take each step with awareness and kindness, we will naturally find our way. The journey itself is the destination. Every moment of presence is a moment of peace. The natural world offers us so many lessons in balance and resilience. Think of the way a tree stands firm in a storm, its roots deep in the earth while its branches sway and bend with the wind. The tree does not resist the wind, but it does not break because it is grounded. We can be like that tree, rooted in our values and our inner stillness, while allowing the winds of life to move through us. We don't have to be rigid or hard. In fact, It is our flexibility and our ability to flow that give us our true strength. As we cultivate this inner groundedness, we find that we are less reactive to the opinions of others. We understand that what people say or think about us is often more a reflection of their own state of mind than a statement of our true value. This realization gives us a wonderful sense of freedom. We are no longer constantly trying to please everyone or living in fear of judgment. We can be authentic and true to ourselves, which is the greatest gift we can give to the world. A mind that is starting to settle is like a clear night sky. The thoughts and emotions are like the stars, beautiful and bright, but they do not diminish the vastness of the sky itself. We can enjoy the stars without getting lost in them. We can experience our lives fully, with all the joy and sorrow they bring, while remaining anchored in that spacious awareness. This is the goal of our practice, not to escape life, but to engage with it in a way that is transformative and healing. The stories and teachings we share are like seeds. We plant them in the garden of our hearts and then we tend to them with care. Some might sprout quickly, while others might take a long time to show any signs of growth. But with patience and consistency, they will eventually bloom into a life of greater peace and purpose. We are the gardeners of our own lives, and we have the power to create a landscape of beauty and kindness. Looking at the way we interact with others, we see that every encounter is an opportunity to practice these qualities. We can bring a sense of curiosity and openness to every conversation. We can look for the good in people, even when it is hidden behind layers of hurt or confusion. This approach doesn't mean we are naive or that we allow others to mistreat us. It means we respond from a place of clarity and strength rather than fear and reactivity. We can set boundaries with kindness and speak our truth with compassion. The practice of mindfulness is not just about sitting quietly. It is about bringing that same quality of presence to everything we do. Whether we are walking, eating, working, or talking, we can be fully there. This transforms even the most mundane activities into something sacred. When we give our full attention to what we are doing, we find a sense of flow and ease that is deeply satisfying. We are no longer rushing to get to the next thing. We are finding the value in what is happening right now. Think of the way a master craftsman works on a piece of art. They are not thinking about the finished product the whole time. They are completely focused on the current stroke of the brush or the current cut of the chisel. This total immersion in the process is what allows the beauty to emerge. Our lives are our greatest work of art, and we create them moment by moment through our choices and our awareness. When we feel overwhelmed, it is helpful to come back to the simplest thing, the breath. The breath is always there, a steady and reliable anchor. It is the bridge between the mind and the body, and it can help to calm the nervous system and bring us back to the present. Just a few deep, conscious breaths can make a world of difference. It is a small act of self-care that we can do anytime and anywhere. As we move through the world, let us carry a sense of gentleness and wonder. Let us be kind to ourselves and to all the beings we encounter. Let us remember that we are all part of a beautiful and complex journey, and that every act of kindness, no matter how small, contributes to the light of the world. We are never truly alone, for we are connected by the same human heart and the same search for peace. There was once a young girl who walked along a beach after a storm. The beach was covered with thousands of starfish that had been washed up by the waves. The girl began to pick them up one by one and throw them back into the ocean. An old man watching her asked why she was doing something so futile, as there were so many starfish that she could never make a difference. The girl picked up another starfish, threw it into the water, and said, "It made a difference to that one." This story reminds us that we don't have to solve all the world's problems. We just need to do what we can, right where we are. This sense of individual responsibility and care is what builds a better world. We are not just passive observers of our lives or the world around us. We are active participants. By cultivating a heart of peace and a mind of clarity, we are creating a ripple effect that extends far beyond what we can see. Each of us is a vital part of the whole, and our contributions matter. As we explore the depths of these teachings, we find that they are not just ancient ideas, but living truths that are as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. The human heart hasn't changed. We still feel the same joys and sorrows, the same fears and hopes. The tools for navigating these experiences are timeless. They provide a reliable foundation in an ever-changing world. In the quiet moments of reflection, we can ask ourselves what it is we truly want from our lives. Most of us will find that at the root of all our desires is a simple wish to be at peace and to be happy. These teachings provide a practical and compassionate way to achieve that. They show us that happiness is not something we find outside of ourselves, but something we cultivate from within. It is a quality of being that we bring to the world. Let us be patient with ourselves as we learn these new ways of being. It is like learning a new language or a new skill. It takes practice and repetition. There will be mistakes, but those mistakes are just part of the learning process. We can treat ourselves with the same kindness and encouragement that we would give to a dear friend. We are all learning to walk this path together, supporting each other and sharing our insights along the way. The sense of community and connection is a source of great strength. When we share our experiences and our aspirations, we find that our burdens become lighter and our joys become brighter. We can learn from each other's wisdom and find comfort in our shared humanity. This connection is a reminder that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. As we go about our day, let us look for the small moments of beauty and grace that are always present. It might be the way the light hits a flower, the sound of laughter, or the feeling of a warm breeze. These moments are like precious jewels that we can collect and carry in our hearts. They remind us of the goodness and the wonder of life, even in the midst of challenges. The journey toward greater understanding and peace is a lifelong one. There is always more to learn and more room for our hearts to grow. This is the beauty of life, its infinite potential for growth and transformation. Every day is a new opportunity to be a little more aware, a little more kind, and a little more present. We are the authors of our own stories, and we can choose to write a story of wisdom, compassion, and joy. The path is open to everyone, regardless of their background or circumstances. It doesn't require any special abilities or beliefs. It only requires a willing heart and a curious mind. We can start exactly where we are, with whatever we are feeling right now. This is the only place we can ever start. As we become more familiar with the landscape of our own minds, we find that we are less afraid of what we find there. We can look at our fears and our insecurities with a sense of gentle curiosity. We see that they are just temporary visitors, and they don't define who we are. This fearlessness allows us to live more fully and to take risks in the service of what we value. True courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of it. It is the courage to be vulnerable, to be honest, and to be kind. This kind of courage is a powerful force that can change our lives and the lives of those around us. It is the courage to stay open when we want to close down, and to keep loving even when we have been hurt. As we cultivate these qualities, we find that our relationships become more meaningful and more authentic. We are able to connect with others on a deeper level, beyond the superficial roles and expectations. We see the person behind the persona, and we respond to them with genuine empathy and respect. This creates a sense of belonging and connection that is one of the greatest joys of being human. The wisdom of the ages is not something to be merely studied, but something to be lived. It is through our own direct experience that we truly understand these truths. We test them in the laboratory of our own lives and see what works for us. This makes the teachings our own, a part of our own inner landscape. Let us carry these reflections with us as we move through our day. Let them be a gentle reminder of the peace and the clarity that are always available to us. Let us move with a sense of purpose and a heart full of kindness, knowing that every step we take on this path is a step toward a more beautiful and harmonious world. We are each a unique expression of the same vast and mysterious life, and our journey is a vital part of the whole. There is a sense of quiet joy that comes from simply being present for our lives. It is not a loud or boisterous joy, but a steady and quiet flame that warms our hearts and lights our way. It is the joy of being alive, of being able to see, feel, and experience the world. This joy is our birthright, and it is something we can always come back to, no matter what is happening around us. Think of the way a calm lake reflects the sky. When the water is still, the reflection is clear and perfect. But when there are ripples or waves, the reflection becomes distorted. Our minds are like that lake. When we are calm and still, we can see the world and ourselves clearly. But when we are agitated by craving or aversion, our perception becomes distorted. Our practice is to keep coming back to that stillness, so that we can see things as they truly are. This clarity allows us to make wiser choices and to respond to life's challenges with more skill. We are no longer just reacting based on old habits. We are acting from a place of awareness and intention. This is the foundation for a life of integrity and meaning. It is a life that is lived in alignment with our deepest values and our highest aspirations. As we continue to walk this path, we find that we are more resilient and more capable of handling whatever life throws at us. We have a source of inner strength and peace that is not easily shaken. This is the true meaning of refuge, a safe and steady place within ourselves that we can always return to. It is a sanctuary of kindness and clarity that is always open and always welcoming. The stories and teachings we share are like lanterns in the night. They provide a bit of light and guidance as we navigate the complexities of our human journey. They remind us that we are not alone and that there is a path forward, even in the darkest of times. They encourage us to keep going, to keep searching, and to keep opening our hearts. Every day is a gift, a fresh opportunity to practice these qualities and to deepen our understanding. We can wake up with a sense of gratitude and a commitment to being as present and kind as we can be. We can end our day by reflecting on what we have learned and by offering ourselves a bit of gentleness and appreciation. This daily practice creates a sense of rhythm and purpose in our lives. The beauty of this journey is that it never ends. There is always more to explore, more to understand, and more room for our hearts to grow. This is the infinite potential of the human spirit. We are capable of so much more than we often realize. By tapping into this inner wisdom and kindness, we are fulfilling our true potential as human beings. As we move through the world, let us be like a gentle breeze that brings a sense of freshness and ease wherever it goes. Let us be a source of comfort and inspiration to those we meet. Let us live in a way that is kind to ourselves, kind to others, and kind to the earth. This is the true essence of a life lived with wisdom and compassion. Looking back on our lives, we can see how far we have come. Every challenge we have faced and every mistake we have made has been a part of our learning. We can honor our journey and the person we have become. We can look forward to the future with a sense of curiosity and optimism, knowing that we have the tools we need to navigate whatever comes our way. The peace we seek is not a destination, but a way of traveling. It is found in every moment of awareness, every act of kindness, and every breath we take. It is always right here, waiting for us to notice it. By turning our attention toward it, we are opening ourselves to a life of greater ease and meaning. There is a story of a traveler who was thirsty and found a well. But the well was very deep, and the traveler didn't have a rope to reach the water. They sat by the well and waited, hoping someone would come with a rope. Eventually, they realized that they could make a rope from the fibers of the nearby plants. They worked patiently, day after day, until they had a rope long enough to reach the water. This story illustrates that we often have the resources we need right in front of us. We just need to be patient and resourceful in using them. Our own inner resources are vast and profound. We have the capacity for deep wisdom, boundless compassion, and unwavering resilience. Our task is to cultivate these qualities and to bring them to bear on our daily lives. As we do this, we find that we are more than capable of handling the challenges we face. We discover a source of inner strength that is truly transformative. Let us be gentle with ourselves as we work to uncover these inner treasures. It is not a race or a competition. It is a personal journey of discovery and growth. We can go at our own pace, taking the time we need to integrate what we learn. Every step we take, no matter how small, is a valuable part of the process. In the quiet moments of the day, we can listen to the wisdom of our own hearts. We can notice what brings us peace and what causes us distress. This self-awareness is the key to making better choices and to living a more harmonious life. By paying attention to our inner world, we can navigate the outer world with more skill and grace. The connection between our inner state and our outer reality is profound. When we are at peace within ourselves, our interactions with others become more peaceful. When we are clear and focused, our work becomes more effective. This is not magic, but a natural consequence of the way we engage with the world. Our inner world is the foundation for everything else. As we move toward the end of this part of our sharing, let us take a moment to simply be. Let us feel the weight of our bodies on the ground, the movement of the breath in our chest, and the presence of our own awareness. This simple act of being is the most fundamental thing we can do. It is the ground of our existence and the source of our true peace. We are all interconnected in a vast and beautiful web of life. Every action we take and every thought we have has an effect on the whole. By cultivating kindness and wisdom within ourselves, we are contributing to the well-being of all beings. This is a powerful and inspiring realization. We are not just small, isolated individuals. We are part of a grand and mysterious whole. The journey continues, one step at a time, one breath at a time. Let us walk it with awareness, with kindness, and with a sense of wonder. There is so much beauty and meaning to be found along the way. We are the architects of our own lives, and we can choose to build a life of peace, joy, and purpose. As we transition into the next moment of our day, let us carry a sense of calm and clarity with us. Let us be present for our experiences, whatever they may be. Let us be kind to ourselves and to all the beings we encounter. This is the path of wisdom, and it is a path that is open to each and every one of us, every moment of every day. Looking at the world around us, we see that there is so much need for kindness and understanding. We can be a part of the solution by being a source of these qualities in our own lives. We don't have to do anything grand or heroic. We just need to be present and kind in the small things. These small acts add up and create a powerful force for good. The more we practice, the more natural these qualities become. They start to feel less like something we are doing and more like who we are. We find that we are naturally more patient, more empathetic, and more balanced. This is the fruit of our efforts, and it is a fruit that is sweet and nourishing. There was a wise woman who lived in a small village. She was known for her incredible kindness and her ability to listen. People would come to her with all sorts of problems, and she would simply listen to them with an open heart. Often, just being heard was enough to help the person find their own way. This woman didn't have any special answers. She just had the gift of her presence. We can all cultivate that gift and offer it to the world. The simplicity of these teachings is their greatest strength. They are not about complex theories or abstract ideas. They are about the reality of our daily lives. They provide a practical and compassionate way to navigate the challenges of being human. They show us how to live with more awareness, more kindness, and more peace. As we move forward, let us remember that the path is not about reaching a perfect state, but about the quality of our journey. It is about how we handle the difficulties and how we celebrate the joys. It is about the love we share and the wisdom we gain. Every moment is a chance to be a little more fully ourselves and to contribute a little more light to the world. Think of a small stream that flows into a larger river, which eventually flows into the ocean. Our individual lives are like that stream. We may feel small and insignificant at times, but we are part of a vast and powerful movement. Our actions ripples outward, touching lives we may never even know. This interconnectedness is a source of both responsibility and great inspiration. When we feel lost or confused, we can always come back to the fundamental truths of life. We can acknowledge the reality of our situation, whatever it may be. We can notice our reactions and our cravings. We can remember the possibility of peace and the path that leads toward it. These truths are like a compass that can guide us back to our true center. The wisdom of the Buddha is often compared to a medicine that can heal the wounds of the heart. Like any medicine, it only works if we take it. We have to apply the teachings to our own lives and see the results for ourselves. This is a personal and transformative process that requires both patience and commitment. But the rewards are profound and lasting. A heart that is starting to open is like a flower that is beginning to bloom. It is a delicate and beautiful process that cannot be rushed. We can provide the right environment, the sunlight of awareness and the water of kindness, and then we let nature take its course. We trust in the inherent goodness and wisdom that is within us and within all beings. As we navigate the complexities of our relationships, let us bring a sense of humility and openness. Let us be willing to admit when we are wrong and to learn from our mistakes. Let us be quick to forgive and slow to judge. This creates an atmosphere of trust and connection where love can flourish. We are all doing the best we can with the understanding we have, and a little bit of compassion goes a long way. The challenges we face in our communities and in the world at large can sometimes feel overwhelming. But we can always start with ourselves. By being a source of peace and clarity in our own corner of the world, we are making a difference. We can support the efforts of others and work together to create a more just and compassionate society. Every small step matters. In the old days, travelers would often leave markers along the path to help those who followed behind them. The stories and teachings we share are like those markers. They are gifts from those who have gone before, offered with love and a wish for our well-being. We can receive them with gratitude and use them to find our own way through the landscape of our lives. The beauty of the natural world is a constant source of inspiration and renewal. Whether it is the vastness of the ocean, the majesty of the mountains, or the simple beauty of a garden, nature reminds us of the larger cycles of life. It helps us to put our own problems into perspective and to feel a sense of connection with the earth. We are a part of nature, not separate from it. As we move toward the next part of our sharing, let us keep these reflections in our hearts. Let them be a gentle undercurrent in our minds, guiding our thoughts and actions toward more kindness and wisdom. Let us be curious about the experiences that await us and open to the lessons they have to offer. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and we are taking that step right now. Our capacity for awareness is like a mirror that can reflect everything without being changed by it. It can reflect the darkest clouds and the brightest sun, the most beautiful flowers and the most unsightly mud. The mirror itself remains clear and untainted. When we identify with this awareness rather than with the reflections in it, we find a sense of freedom and equanimity that is truly liberating. This shift in perspective is the essence of the path. It is moving from being caught in the drama of our lives to being the compassionate witness of it. We still experience everything, but we are no longer defined by it. We see that we are the sky, not the clouds. This realization brings a profound sense of peace and a capacity to engage with the world with more love and less fear. Let us continue to explore these ideas together, with a sense of shared purpose and a commitment to kindness. There is so much to learn from each other and from the world around us. Every conversation, every interaction, and every moment of silence is an opportunity to deepen our understanding. We are all teachers and students to each other. The path toward greater wisdom and compassion is a journey of the heart. It is about learning to love ourselves and the world more fully. It is about shedding the layers of defense and opening up to the reality of our shared humanity. This is the most important work we can do, and it is a work that brings the greatest rewards. As we settle into the rhythm of this sharing, let us be mindful of the way we use our energy. Let us direct it toward things that are nourishing and life-affirming. Let us be wise in our choices and kind in our actions. This creates a positive momentum that carries us forward with more ease and grace. The wisdom of the ancient traditions is like a deep and ancient well that never runs dry. No matter how much we draw from it, there is always more to discover. It is a source of nourishment and strength that can sustain us through all the challenges of life. We can come back to it again and again, finding fresh insights and renewed inspiration. Let us carry a sense of gentleness into the next part of our journey. Let us be soft with ourselves and with others. A gentle heart is a strong heart, for it has the courage to be vulnerable and the capacity to be kind. This gentleness is a powerful force for healing and transformation in our lives and in the world. The practice of being present is like coming home to ourselves. It is returning to our natural state of clarity and kindness. It is letting go of the distractions and the noise of the world and simply being here, right now. In this space of presence, we find a peace that is beyond words and a joy that is beyond circumstances. As we move forward, let us keep the spirit of curiosity alive. Let us be willing to look at things with fresh eyes and to question our old assumptions. This openness is the key to growth and discovery. It allows us to see the magic and the wonder that are hidden in the ordinary moments of our lives. The journey of understanding our lives and the nature of our experiences is a beautiful and mysterious one. It is a path that leads us toward a deeper connection with ourselves, with others, and with the world. Every step we take is a step toward more wisdom, more compassion, and more peace. Let us walk it together, with open hearts and a commitment to kindness. Looking at the way the natural world transforms itself throughout the seasons, we can find comfort in the cycles of change. The dark of winter always leads to the brightness of spring. The falling leaves of autumn provide the nutrients for new growth. Our own lives are also a series of transformations, and every ending is a new beginning. We can trust in the wisdom of these natural processes. The path we are discussing is one of gradual unfolding. We don't have to force anything or try to be someone we are not. We just have to keep showing up with awareness and kindness. Over time, these qualities will naturally deepen and expand, transforming our lives from the inside out. It is a quiet and steady revolution of the heart. As we continue on this journey, let us remember that the most important things are often the simplest. A kind word, a mindful breath, a moment of presence. These are the things that truly matter and that create a life of meaning and joy. Let us cherish these simple gifts and share them generously with the world. The sense of peace we find within ourselves is a light that we can carry into the darkness. It can guide us through the challenges and inspire others to find their own way. We are each a beacon of hope and a source of kindness in a world that so often feels harsh and uncertain. Our presence makes a difference, more than we can ever know. Let us be patient with the process of our own growth. Just as a garden takes time to flourish, our inner landscape requires time and care to bloom. We can trust that every effort we make is planting a seed that will eventually bear fruit. We don't have to see the results right away to know that they are coming. In the end, the path of wisdom and compassion is about becoming more fully human. It is about embracing all aspects of our experience and responding to them with an open heart. It is about finding the beauty in the struggle and the peace in the chaos. It is a journey of a lifetime, and it is a journey that is well worth taking. Every moment of our lives is a chance to start again, to make a different choice, and to move in the direction of more peace and kindness. This is the great freedom we all possess. No matter what has happened in the past, the present moment is fresh and full of possibility. Let us use this freedom wisely and with a heart full of love. The stories and teachings of the past are not just memories, but living forces that can guide us today. They speak to the timeless truths of the human condition and offer a reliable path toward freedom and happiness. By listening to their wisdom and applying it to our own lives, we are continuing a noble and beautiful tradition that spans generations. Thinking about how that inner water stays clear even when life tosses in a few stones brings a certain lightness to the shoulders. When we look at the world through the lens of this second great truth, we begin to see that the source of our heavy hearts often lies in the invisible threads of attachment we weave around everything we touch. It is like trying to hold on to a handful of river water by clenching our fist. The tighter we squeeze, the faster the water slips through our fingers, leaving us with nothing but a tired hand. If we simply open our palm, the water rests there, cool and refreshing, reflecting the sky without any effort at all. This open palm is a heart that appreciates without needing to possess. There is an old story of a wanderer who found a precious jewel in the forest and placed it in their bag. That night, another traveler asked for a place to sleep, and the wanderer, seeing the traveler was hungry, opened the bag to share some bread. The traveler saw the jewel and asked if they could have it. Without a moment of hesitation, the wanderer handed over the priceless stone. The traveler left, overjoyed with their new wealth, but a few days later, they returned and handed the jewel back. They said they didn't want the stone anymore. Instead, they wanted whatever it was inside the wanderer that made it so easy for them to give the jewel away. That inner quality is a freedom from the sticky nature of craving, a realization that our worth is not measured by the things we carry. When we find ourselves tangled in a difficult emotion, it is often because we have identified so strongly with it that we think we are the emotion. We say, "I am angry," or "I am sad," rather than noticing that anger or sadness is simply a passing weather pattern in the vast sky of our awareness. During the time of the Buddha, there was a man named Channa who struggled deeply with his own pride and stubbornness. He had been with the Buddha since the very beginning, even before the Enlightenment, and he felt a sense of ownership over the teachings that made him look down on others. He would often argue and cause friction within the community because he couldn't let go of his image of himself as someone special. The Buddha dealt with Channa with immense patience, never meeting his aggression with more aggression. He understood that Channa's behavior was rooted in a deep-seated fear of being insignificant. After the Buddha passed away, the community followed a specific instruction to leave Channa to his own devices for a while, not out of punishment, but to give him the space to see his own mind without an audience. In that silence, Channa finally saw the walls he had built around himself. He realized that his pride was a heavy armor that prevented him from truly connecting with anyone. When he finally let that armor drop, he experienced a level of peace he had never known. He became one of the most humble and realized members of the group, proving that no habit is so old that it cannot be transformed by a moment of genuine clarity. This transformation is available to all of us in the small corners of our daily lives. We might notice a sudden spark of jealousy when a friend succeeds, or a wave of irritation when things don't go our way. Instead of pushing these feelings down or acting on them, we can simply look at them with a bit of humor and kindness. We can say, "Oh, there you are again, old friend." This simple act of naming the feeling without judging it takes away its power. We start to see that these impulses are just energy moving through us. They don't have to dictate our words or our actions. We are the ones who decide which seeds in our heart we want to water and which ones we want to let fade away. Imagine a garden where we have the choice to nourish the fragrant jasmine of kindness or the prickly thorns of resentment. Both are capable of growing, but only one makes the garden a place where we want to rest. This choice is made in the present moment, over and over again. It is not a one-time decision, but a continuous practice of returning to our center. When we speak to a family member who knows exactly how to push our buttons, can we pause for just one breath before responding? In that single breath, we find the freedom to choose a kind word over a sharp one. This is where the path becomes real, not in books or in quiet halls, but in the heat of a conversation or the frustration of a long day. The ancient stories tell of a merchant who was obsessed with accumulating gold. He spent his life counting his coins and worrying about thieves, so much so that he couldn't sleep at night. One day, he saw a group of monks walking through the village with nothing but their robes and bowls, yet they looked more radiant and content than he had ever been. He approached one of them and asked how they could be so happy with nothing. The monk replied that they weren't happy because they had nothing, but because they had stopped wanting everything. The merchant realized that his gold was not a treasure, but a chain that kept him bound to his anxieties. He didn't necessarily give away all his wealth, but he changed his relationship to it. He began to use his resources to build wells and shelters for those in need, and as he let the gold flow out of his hands to help others, he felt his own heart begin to lighten. This shift from taking to giving is a powerful medicine for the soul. We often think that we need to get something in order to be happy, but the deepest joy usually comes from what we give away. Giving doesn't always mean money or physical objects. It can be the gift of our time, our attention, or a genuine apology. When we offer someone our full presence, we are saying that they are valuable. In a world where everyone is constantly distracted, being truly heard is a rare and precious thing. It heals the sense of isolation that many of us feel and reminds us that we are all walking this path together. When we look at the idea of the path that leads away from friction, we see it involves a deep commitment to truth. This isn't just about not telling lies, but about being honest with ourselves about our motivations. Why do we say the things we say? Is it to help, or is it to make ourselves look better? When we start to peel back the layers of our own intentions, we find a great deal of clarity. We see where we are acting out of fear and where we are acting out of love. This honesty is like a bright lamp that reveals the obstacles in our way, allowing us to step around them with ease. There is a story of a young monk who was very diligent in his studies but felt frustrated because he wasn't experiencing the profound peace he read about. He went to his teacher and complained that he was doing everything right but still felt restless. The teacher took him to a river and asked him to hold a heavy stone under the water. After a few minutes, the teacher asked if the stone was getting any lighter. The monk said no, it felt just as heavy as before. The teacher then told him to let go of the stone. As the stone sank to the bottom and the monk's hand rose to the surface, the teacher said, the peace you seek is not in the holding of the teachings, but in the letting go of the weight you carry in your heart. The weight we carry is often made of our expectations for how life should be. We have a mental blueprint of the perfect day, the perfect partner, and the perfect version of ourselves. When reality doesn't match the blueprint, we suffer. But what if we threw away the blueprint? What if we approached each moment with a sense of wonder, as if we were seeing the world for the first time? A sunset is beautiful not because it lasts, but because it is a fleeting dance of light and color that will never be exactly the same again. When we stop trying to freeze life into a permanent picture, we can finally begin to enjoy the movement of the dance. This sense of flow is especially important when we deal with our own mistakes. We can be our own harshest critics, replaying our failures over and over in our minds like a broken record. But the past is gone, and no amount of guilt can change it. What we can do is learn from the experience and move forward with more wisdom. If we trip and fall, we don't stay on the ground and berate ourselves for being clumsy. We get up, brush off the dust, and keep walking, perhaps being a little more careful of the uneven ground. This self-compassion is not about making excuses. It is about acknowledging our humanity and giving ourselves the space to grow. In the old texts, there is a description of a person who is like a well-tuned lute. If the string is stretched too tight, it will break. If it is too loose, it won't play a clear note. Our lives require that same delicate balance. We need enough effort to stay focused and engaged, but enough relaxation to remain open and kind. Sometimes we need to push ourselves to be more disciplined, and other times we need to give ourselves permission to simply rest and breathe. Listening to the needs of our own hearts and bodies is a vital part of the practice. We cannot pour from an empty cup, so taking care of our own well-being is an act of kindness not just to ourselves, but to everyone we encounter. Think about the way a forest recovers after a fire. At first, everything looks charred and lifeless. But slowly, beneath the ash, tiny green shoots begin to emerge. The earth has an incredible capacity for healing and renewal, and so do we. No matter how much pain we have experienced or how many mistakes we have made, the potential for a fresh start is always there. We don't have to wait for the new year or a special occasion. Every morning, when we open our eyes, we are given a brand new day that has never been used before. We can choose what we want to bring into this new space. The way we treat the people we disagree with is a true test of our understanding. It is easy to be kind to those who love us, but it takes a great deal of wisdom to be kind to those who challenge us. We can try to see the world through their eyes, even for a moment. What fears are they carrying? What hurts are they reacting to? When we see the suffering behind someone's anger, our own defensive walls start to crumble. We realize that they are just like us, trying to find their way in a difficult world. This doesn't mean we have to agree with them or allow them to harm us, but we can respond from a place of clarity rather than a place of hatred. There is a beautiful account of a group of people who were caught in a great storm at sea. Everyone was screaming and panicking, fearing for their lives. But one person sat quietly in the center of the boat, their eyes closed and their face calm. When the storm eventually passed and they reached the shore, the others asked how they could stay so still while everyone else was terrified. The person replied that they realized the storm was outside the boat, and there was no reason to let it inside their own heart. We can't always control the storms that happen in our lives, but we can choose whether or not to let them disturb our inner peace. Building this inner resilience takes time and patience. It is like training a wild animal. At first, our minds are scattered and reactive, jumping from one thought to another like a monkey in a tree. But with gentle and consistent effort, we can teach the mind to settle. We can give it a place to rest, like the sensation of the breath or the feeling of our hands touching. Each time we notice the mind has wandered and we bring it back without judgment, we are strengthening our capacity for awareness. This is the quiet work that happens behind the scenes of our busy lives, and its effects are profound. As we become more grounded in the present, we start to notice the simple joys that we used to overlook. The taste of a fresh apple, the sound of the wind in the trees, the feeling of cold water on our skin. These are not small things. They are the fabric of our existence. When we are fully present for these moments, life feels rich and abundant, regardless of our external circumstances. We move away from the constant search for the next big thing and find contentment in the here and now. There was a student who asked a teacher what the most important lesson in life was. The teacher picked up a glass of water and asked how much it weighed. The student guessed a few ounces. The teacher said, "The absolute weight doesn't matter. What matters is how long you hold it. If I hold it for a minute, it's no problem. If I hold it for an hour, my arm will ache. If I hold it for a day, my arm will feel paralyzed and numb." In each case, the weight of the glass is the same, but the longer I hold it, the heavier it becomes. Our worries and stresses are like that glass of water. If we think about them for a short while, they don't bother us much. But if we carry them with us all day, every day, they become an unbearable burden. We have to learn to put the glass down. Putting the glass down means allowing ourselves to have moments of complete rest, where we let go of all our plans and anxieties. It means trusting that the world will keep turning even if we aren't constantly managing it. This trust is a form of deep wisdom. It is the realization that we are part of a larger process that is far beyond our control. When we stop fighting against the flow of life and start moving with it, we find a sense of ease and grace that is truly beautiful. Imagine a leaf floating on a stream. It doesn't struggle to go upstream or try to hold on to the rocks. It simply goes where the water takes it, dancing on the ripples and resting in the quiet pools. We can learn to live with that same lightness. This doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent. It means our actions are in harmony with the reality of the situation. We do what needs to be done with a clear mind and a kind heart, and then we let go of the results. We plant the seeds, we water the ground, and then we allow the sun and the earth to do their work. In the ancient stories, there is a king who was very troubled by the suffering he saw in his kingdom. He decided to build a massive wall around his palace to keep out all the pain and sadness of the world. But no matter how high he built the wall, he still felt a sense of unease. One day, a wise traveler told him that the wall was not keeping the suffering out, but keeping the king trapped inside his own fear. The traveler suggested that instead of building walls, the king should build bridges. As the king began to go out into the kingdom and listen to the stories of his people, his own heart began to heal. He saw that by connecting with others and sharing their burdens, his own suffering became manageable. This is a powerful lesson for our modern world. where we often try to protect ourselves by isolating or by distracting ourselves with screens and busyness. But true safety is not found in isolation. It is found in connection. It is found in the realization that we are all made of the same stardust and carry the same human longings. When we open our hearts to others, we are also opening ourselves to the vast beauty and mystery of life. We find that we have a reservoir of strength and compassion that we never knew existed. Think of the way a single drop of ink can color a whole glass of water. Our negative thoughts and actions can have a similar effect on our lives and the lives of those around us. But a single drop of clear water can also begin to dilute the ink. Every moment of awareness and every act of kindness is like a drop of clear water. It might seem small, but over time, it changes the entire quality of the container. We can choose to be the source of that clear water, bringing a sense of freshness and clarity to every situation we encounter. This path is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more of who we truly are. It is about stripping away the layers of confusion and habit that hide our natural light. We are all born with a heart that is capable of infinite love and a mind that is capable of profound wisdom. Life has a way of covering that light with dust, but the light itself is never lost. Our practice is simply to wipe away the dust, bit by bit, with patience and gentleness. There was a potter who spent years trying to create the perfect vase. He would throw away any piece that had even the slightest imperfection. He was constantly frustrated and unhappy. One day, he saw an old, cracked bowl that had been repaired with gold. He realized that the cracks didn't make the bowl less beautiful. In fact, they added a sense of history and character that a perfect bowl could never have. He started to see his own imperfections and the imperfections in his work in a new light. He stopped trying to be perfect and started to be authentic. His work became more soulful and touched the hearts of everyone who saw it. Our own cracks and scars are a part of our beauty. They are the places where we have been tested and where we have grown. We don't have to hide them or be ashamed of them. They are evidence of our resilience and our capacity to heal. When we accept ourselves as we are, we give others the permission to do the same. This creates a culture of authenticity and grace that is incredibly healing. We move away from the pressure to perform and toward the joy of simply being. Mindfulness is the tool that allows us to stay present for this unfolding journey. It is a very simple practice, but its effects are profound. It is simply the act of paying attention to our current experience with a sense of curiosity and kindness. We can practice it while we are drinking a cup of tea, feeling the warmth of the cup and the taste of the liquid. We can practice it while we are walking to our car, feeling the movement of our muscles and the air on our face. These moments of awareness are like small islands of peace in the middle of a busy day. As we become more mindful, we start to notice the subtle ways we cause ourselves unnecessary pain. We notice the way we hold tension in our shoulders or the way we replay a conversation in our heads. Once we notice these patterns, we can begin to let them go. We can take a deep breath and consciously relax our muscles. We can tell ourselves that conversation is over and come back to the present moment. This is a very practical and effective way to reduce stress and improve our overall well-being. There is a story of a young child who was playing with a ball and it rolled into a deep hole. The child tried to reach it, but the hole was too deep. An adult saw the child's distress and told them to pour water into the hole. As the water filled the hole, the ball floated to the top, and the child was able to reach it. Our wisdom and compassion are like that water. When we nourish these qualities within ourselves, they naturally lift us out of our difficulties. We don't have to strain or struggle. We just have to keep pouring in the water of awareness and kindness. This process of nourishing our inner lives requires a certain amount of discipline. We have to make a conscious effort to set aside time for reflection and stillness. It might be just 10 minutes in the morning or a quiet walk in the evening. This time is not a luxury. It is a necessity for maintaining our balance and clarity. It is like charging a battery. We need to plug in and recharge so that we have the energy to face the demands of our lives with a steady heart. In the ancient traditions, there is a great deal of emphasis on the importance of virtuous living. This isn't about following a set of rules because we are afraid of being punished. It is about understanding the natural law of cause and effect. When we act with kindness and honesty, we create a positive energy that supports our own well-being and the well-being of others. When we act with greed or hatred, we create a negative energy that causes suffering. It is a very simple and logical principle. Our actions are like seeds that we plant in the garden of our lives. If we want to harvest happiness, we need to plant seeds of kindness. Think about the way a single candle can light another candle without losing any of its own flame. In the same way, when we share our peace and our kindness with others, we don't lose anything. In fact, our own light only grows brighter. We can be a source of encouragement for someone who is struggling, a calm presence in a chaotic situation, or simply a person who offers a genuine smile. These small acts are the building blocks of a more compassionate world. They create a ripple effect that extends far beyond what we can see. There was a famous teacher who was asked what the secret to a happy life was. He replied, "Eat when you are hungry, sleep when you are tired." The questioner was disappointed, thinking the answer was too simple. But the teacher explained that most people are doing something else while they are eating. They are planning, worrying, or judging. And when they are sleeping, they are still carrying the burdens of the day. To truly eat when you are hungry and sleep when you are tired means to be fully present for your life, without the constant interference of the restless mind. This simplicity is something we can all strive for. We can try to do one thing at a time and give it our full attention. When we are talking to a friend, let's really be with them. When we are working on a project, let's focus on the task at hand. This focused attention makes our work more efficient and our relationships more meaningful. It also reduces the sense of overwhelm that comes from trying to do too many things at once. We find that we have more than enough time for everything that truly matters. As we deepen our practice, we start to experience a sense of inner freedom that is independent of external events. This freedom comes from the realization that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. This is the greatest power we have as human beings. It is the power to choose peace over conflict, love over hatred, and awareness over reactivity. This power is not something we have to go out and find. It is something we already possess, waiting to be claimed. There is a story of a person who was looking for a great treasure. They traveled across oceans and climbed high mountains, searching everywhere. After many years, they returned home, tired and discouraged. As they sat down in their own garden, they noticed something sparkling in the dirt. They dug it up and found the very treasure they had been looking for all those years. It had been right there under their feet the whole time. Our own inner peace and wisdom are like that treasure. We don't have to go anywhere or do anything special to find them. We just have to stop looking outside and start looking within. When we look within, we find a space that is quiet and vast. It is a space that can hold all our thoughts and feelings without being disturbed by them. It is like the deep ocean that remains calm and still even when there are waves on the surface. We can learn to rest in that inner stillness, no matter what is happening in our lives. This stillness is our true home, a place of safety and refuge that is always available to us. Cultivating a sense of gratitude is a wonderful way to connect with this inner stillness. When we focus on the things we are grateful for, our perspective shifts from what is lacking to what is present. We start to see the abundance that is always around us. The air we breathe, the food we eat, the people who care about us. These are all reasons for gratitude. Even the challenges we face can be seen as opportunities for growth, and for that, we can also be grateful. This practice of gratitude opens our hearts and allows us to experience the beauty of life more fully. Think about the way a tree stands through the seasons. In the spring, it is full of new life and blossoms. In the summer, it provides shade and fruit. In the autumn, it lets go of its leaves and prepares for the winter. In the winter, it stands bare and still, gathering strength for the next cycle of growth. The tree doesn't complain about the cold or worry about the future. It simply stays grounded in the present, trusting the natural process of life. We can learn a lot from the quiet resilience of a tree. Our own lives have seasons as well. There are times of great activity and growth, and there are times of quiet reflection and rest. Both are necessary for our well-being. We can learn to embrace each season as it comes, without trying to hurry it along or hold on to it when it is time to change. This acceptance of the natural flow of life brings a great deal of peace and ease. We are no longer fighting against the inevitable, but moving in harmony with the rhythm of existence. There was a group of students who were traveling with their teacher. They came to a wide river that they needed to cross. The students were worried because the current was strong and they didn't have a boat. The teacher told them to find a large log and use it as a raft. They worked together to build the raft and successfully crossed the river. Once they reached the other side, the students wanted to carry the raft with them on their journey. The teacher laughed and said, "The raft was useful for crossing the river, but now it is a burden. Leave it here for the next person who needs it." This story is a reminder that we often hold on to things that served us in the past but are now holding us back. These things can be old beliefs, habits, or even relationships. We have to have the wisdom to know when it is time to let go. Holding on to the past prevents us from being fully present for the future. When we let go of what we no longer need, we create space for new experiences and new growth. We move forward with a lighter load and a more open heart. The practice of mindfulness helps us to see what we are carrying and to decide whether or not it is still useful. We can look at our thoughts and habits with a sense of gentle inquiry. Does this thought help me to be more kind? Does this habit support my well-being? If not, we can choose to let it go. This is a process of constant refining, a journey toward greater simplicity and clarity. We are stripping away the non-essential so that the essential can shine through. As we move through our day, let's try to be a source of encouragement for ourselves and for others. A kind word or a supportive gesture can make a huge difference in someone's life. We never know what kind of burdens people are carrying, and a little bit of kindness can go a long way. This spirit of generosity and care is what makes life truly beautiful. It connects us to each other and to the heart of the world. Think of a garden that is well tended. It is a place of beauty, peace, and nourishment. Our own lives are like that garden. When we tend to our inner landscape with awareness and kindness, we create a life that is truly worth living. We find a sense of purpose and a joy that is not dependent on external events. We are the gardeners of our own souls, and we have the power to create a masterpiece of grace and wisdom. Every moment is a new beginning, a fresh chance to be the person we want to be. We don't have to be defined by our past or limited by our fears. We can choose to move in the direction of more peace, more love, and more understanding. This is the path of the heart, and it is a path that is open to each and every one of us. Let's walk it with a sense of gratitude and a commitment to kindness, knowing that every step we take is a contribution to the light of the world. Looking at the vastness of the night sky, we can't help but feel a sense of wonder and humility. We are such a small part of this incredible universe, yet we have the capacity to experience it and to find meaning in it. This perspective helps us to let go of our petty worries and to focus on what truly matters. We are here for a short time, and we can choose to spend that time in a way that is meaningful and beautiful. As we continue on this journey together, let's keep our hearts open to the lessons that life has to offer. Let's be patient with ourselves and with each other. Let's remember that we are all learning and growing at our own pace. The path is not a race, but a shared adventure. We can support each other, inspire each other, and find comfort in our common humanity. The wisdom of the ages is like a steady lamp that can guide us through the darkest times. It reminds us of our own inner strength and our capacity for peace. By staying connected to this wisdom, we can navigate the challenges of life with a steady heart and a clear mind. We become a source of stability for ourselves and for those around us. Let us carry this sense of peace and purpose into the next moments of our day. Let us be present for our experiences, whatever they may be. Let us be kind to ourselves and to all the beings we encounter. This is the simple and profound path of the heart, and it is a path that leads to a life of true happiness and fulfillment. Every breath is a reminder of our connection to life. It is a constant and reliable anchor that we can always return to. By paying attention to the breath, we can calm the mind and settle the body. It is a simple practice that can be done anywhere, at any time. It is a small act of self-care that has a huge impact on our well-being. As we move through our busy lives, let's look for the quiet moments of stillness. They might be found in the early morning before the world wakes up, or in the evening when the sun begins to set. These moments are like precious gifts that allow us to reconnect with our inner selves. They are the times when we can listen to the wisdom of our own hearts and find the guidance we need. The journey of the heart is a beautiful and transformative one. It leads us toward a deeper understanding of ourselves and a more compassionate relationship with the world. Every step we take on this path is a step toward more freedom and more joy. Let us walk it with courage and kindness, knowing that we are never alone and that the light of wisdom is always with us. Thinking about the way water flows, it always finds the lowest point, yet it is one of the most powerful forces in nature. It can wear away the hardest rock over time, not through force, but through persistence. We can learn from the quality of water. We don't have to be harsh or aggressive to make a difference. We can be gentle, persistent, and flexible, and we will find our way around any obstacle. This soft power is the essence of wisdom and compassion. When we look at the world with a heart of peace, we see beauty everywhere. Even in the middle of a busy city, we can find a sense of wonder in the faces of the people we pass or the way the light reflects off the buildings. This perspective transforms our experience of life. It makes every moment feel precious and every encounter feel meaningful. We are no longer just going through the motions. We are truly living. Watching the clouds drift across the horizon teaches us a silent lesson about the art of being present without interference. They do not struggle to maintain their shape, and they do not grieve when the wind transforms them into something new. There is a profound dignity in that yielding, a strength that we often mistake for weakness in our own lives. We spend so much energy trying to solidify our experiences, trying to build permanent monuments out of the shifting sands of time. But when we look at the third great truth, we find the invitation to experience a peace that is not dependent on things staying the same. This peace is like the space in a room. Furniture may be moved, walls may be painted, and people may come and go, but the space itself remains vast, unaffected, and welcoming to all. In the old chronicles, there is an account of a woman named Kisa Gautami who was paralyzed by the weight of her grief. She could not accept the loss of her child and wandered from house to house, asking for medicine to bring him back to life. When she finally approached the Buddha, he did not offer her a dry philosophical lecture. Instead, he gave her a task. He asked her to bring him a handful of mustard seeds from a home where no one had ever lost a loved one. As she traveled from door to door, she discovered that every single family had been touched by the same shadow of loss. This realization did not make her pain disappear instantly, but it broke the isolation of her suffering. She saw that her grief was a thread in the universal fabric of human existence. By touching the sorrow of others, she found the doorway to a compassion that eventually led her to a state of unshakable serenity. This shift from the personal, my suffering, to the universal, suffering exists, is a monumental step toward freedom. It is like stepping out of a small, cramped box into the open air. We begin to see that the friction we feel is not a personal attack from the universe, but a natural byproduct of being alive and interconnected. When we stop taking our difficulties so personally, we gain the clarity to respond with wisdom rather than reacting with fear. We become like the great earth, which receives everything, whether it is sweet water or bitter waste, and transforms it all into the richness of life. The way we handle our desires is much like tending a fire on a cold night. A small fire provides warmth and light, helping us see the path and keep our spirits high. But if we become obsessed with making the fire bigger and hotter, adding more and more fuel without pause, the flames eventually grow out of control and consume the very shelter we built. Many of us are living in the smoke of an overfed fire, wondering why our eyes are stinging and why we feel so restless. The path invites us to look at the fuel we are adding. Is it the fuel of genuine need, or the fuel of a restless ego that always wants more than it can ever use? By simplifying our inner landscape, we allow the smoke to clear, revealing a clarity that was there all along. There is a story about a talented musician who played the veena, an ancient stringed instrument. He practiced until his fingers bled, but he could never achieve the perfect tone. He became discouraged and considered giving up his practice altogether. The Buddha, hearing of his struggle, asked him about the strings of his instrument. If the strings are too tight, what happens? The musician replied that they would snap. And if they are too loose, they would produce no sound at all. The Buddha smiled and suggested that the spiritual life is exactly like that veena. It requires a middle way of effort, enough to stay focused, but gentle enough to remain resonant. This realization allowed the musician to relax his grip, and soon his music became a source of healing for everyone who heard it. We can apply this same principle to our daily routines. Think about the way you wake up in the morning. Is it with a sense of urgency, as if you are already behind on a race that has no finish line? Or can you find a moment to simply exist before the tasks of the day take over? Even 60 seconds of pure, unadulterated presence can change the trajectory of the next 12 hours. It is like setting the rudder of a ship. A small adjustment at the beginning of the journey determines whether you end up on a beautiful island or lost in the middle of a storm. Consider the nature of water once more. It is soft and yielding, yet it can move mountains. It does not argue with the banks of the river, it simply follows the path of least resistance, yet it always reaches the sea. When we encounter a person who is difficult or a situation that feels like a brick wall, we have a choice. We can beat our heads against the wall, or we can be like water and find the opening, the small crack, or the way around. This is not about being a doormat. It is about the intelligence of non-contention. By refusing to add more tension to an already tense situation, we become the cooling influence that allows everyone to breathe a little easier. In the ancient times, there was a king who was gifted a beautiful white elephant. He was so proud of this animal and spent all his time showing it off. However, the elephant became aggressive and unruly. The king called for trainers, but nothing worked. Finally, a quiet monk observed the elephant and noticed that the animal's stable was located right next to a place where criminals and angry people gathered to shout and fight. The elephant was simply reflecting the atmosphere it lived in. The monk suggested moving the elephant to a place near a garden where people spoke kindly and meditated. Within weeks, the elephant became gentle and calm once again. We are no different from that elephant. The books we read, the shows we watch, and the people we surround ourselves with are the food for our minds. If we find ourselves feeling anxious or irritable, it is worth looking at the stable we have built for our consciousness. Nourishing the mind with beauty and kindness is not an act of escapism. It is an act of responsibility. When we are mentally healthy, we have more to offer to a world that is often in pain. We can think of ourselves as a lighthouse. The lighthouse doesn't run around the beach trying to save every boat. It simply stands tall and keeps its light burning bright. By maintaining our own inner light, we provide the guidance that others need to find their own way to safety. This starts with the way we talk to ourselves in the privacy of our own thoughts. Are you a harsh critic or a supportive friend? Transforming that inner dialogue is one of the most powerful things you can do for your well-being. There is a charming tale of a man who carried 2 large pots on a pole across his neck to fetch water. One pot was perfect, but the other had a crack in it. Every day, by the time the man got home, the cracked pot was only half full. The perfect pot was proud, while the cracked pot felt ashamed of its failure. One day, the cracked pot apologized to the man for being so useless. The man smiled and told the pot to look at the side of the path they walked every day. The pot noticed that on its side of the road, there were beautiful wildflowers growing, while the other side was dry. The man had planted seeds on the cracked pot side, knowing that the leaking water would nourish them. Our cracks, our vulnerabilities, and our perceived failures are often the very things that allow us to bring beauty into the world in ways we never expected. Embracing our imperfections allows us to connect with others in a way that is truly authentic. People are not inspired by a facade of perfection, they are moved by the courage it takes to be real. When we share our struggles, we give others permission to be honest about theirs. This creates a circle of trust that is far more valuable than any amount of professional success or social status. It is in the messiness of being human that we find the gold of true connection. We realize that we don't have to have it all figured out. We just have to be willing to walk with each other through the uncertainty. The practice of mindfulness can be likened to cleaning a window. If the window is covered in grime, the world looks gray and dull. But as we wipe away the dust of our habits and the streaks of our biases, the vibrant colors of life begin to shine through. Suddenly, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. A simple glass of water becomes a miracle of clarity. The sound of rain on the roof becomes a symphony. This is not because the world has changed, but because our ability to perceive it has been restored. We are moving from a state of doing life to a state of behaving as life itself. Imagine a group of people standing in a dark room, each holding a small flashlight. If everyone is looking for their own lost keys, the room remains mostly dark. But if they all point their lights at a central point, the whole room becomes illuminated. Our individual efforts to find peace might seem small, but when we join them with the efforts of others, we create a collective atmosphere of calm. This is why being part of a supportive community is so helpful. We can lean on each other when our own light feels dim, and we can offer our strength when someone else is faltering. There is an old story of a traveler who found an eagle's egg and placed it in the nest of a backyard hen. The eaglet hatched with the brood of chicks and grew up doing what they did. He scratched the earth for seeds and insects. He never flew more than a few feet because the chickens couldn't fly. One day, he saw a magnificent bird soaring high above in the cloudless sky. "What a beautiful bird," he said to his neighbor. "That is the eagle, the king of the birds," the chicken replied. "But don't give it a second thought. You and I are just chickens." The eagle lived and died a chicken, for that is what he thought he was. We often live according to the small definitions that others have placed on us, or that we have placed on ourselves. But our true nature is like that eagle. We have the capacity to soar above our limitations and see the world from a place of vastness and freedom. Reclaiming our eagle nature requires a willingness to let go of the safety of the chicken coop. It means stepping into the unknown and trusting our own wings. This doesn't happen all at once. It starts with small leaps of faith. Maybe it is the leap of being honest when it is easier to be vague. Maybe it is the leap of being generous when we feel a sense of lack. Each of these small actions strengthens our spiritual muscles, preparing us for the bigger flights that life will eventually ask of us. We are training ourselves to trust the invisible currents of grace that are always there to support us. There was once a young man who wanted to know the meaning of life. He traveled to a remote monastery and asked the head monk. The monk told him to take a spoon, put 2 drops of oil in it, and walk around the entire palace without spilling the oil. The man did so, focusing intensely on the spoon. When he returned, the monk asked him if he saw the beautiful tapestries, the lush gardens, and the ancient library. The man admitted he saw nothing because he was so focused on the oil. The monk sent him out again, telling him to admire the palace while keeping the oil in the spoon. This time, the man saw the wonders of the palace, but when he returned, the oil was gone. The secret of happiness, the monk said, is to see all the marvels of the world and never forget the drops of oil in the spoon. The oil is our inner awareness, our ethical foundation, and our sense of peace. The palace is the beautiful, busy, and often chaotic world we live in. We are challenged to engage with the world fully, to enjoy its beauties and fulfill our responsibilities, without losing our inner center. It is easy to be peaceful in a quiet cave, but the true test is to maintain that peace while navigating a traffic jam or a difficult board meeting. This balance is the hallmark of a mature practice. We are not trying to hide from life, we are trying to be the most conscious and compassionate participants in it. Think of the way a master weaver creates a rug. There are thousands of individual threads, some bright and some dark. If you look at just one thread, it might seem insignificant or even ugly. But when you step back and see the entire pattern, you realize that every thread is necessary for the final design. Our lives are like that rug. The difficult moments, the losses, and the failures are the dark threads that give the pattern depth and contrast. Without them, the beauty of the bright threads would not be as apparent. We can learn to appreciate the whole weaver's design, even when we are in the middle of a dark section of the weave. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a concept of right effort, which is often described through the image of a person walking up a sand dune. If you run too fast, you get exhausted and slide back. If you don't move at all, you slowly sink. The key is a steady, rhythmic pace. We don't have to be perfect meditators or saints by tomorrow morning. We just have to keep moving in the right direction. If we fall down, we simply get back up. The path is not about never making mistakes, it is about how we respond to the mistakes we inevitably make. Each recovery is an act of strength. There was a wise old man who lived in a village and was known for his equanimity. One day, his only horse ran away. The neighbors came over to express their sympathy. "What bad luck," they said. The old man replied, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned, bringing with it 3 wild horses. The neighbors cheered, "What great luck." The old man replied, "Maybe." A few days later, his son was trying to tame one of the wild horses, fell off, and broke his leg. The neighbors groaned, "What terrible luck." The old man replied, "Maybe." Shortly after, The army came through the village to conscript all the young men for a war, but they left the son because of his broken leg. The neighbors exclaimed, "What wonderful luck!" And the old man simply said, "Maybe." This story beautifully illustrates the wisdom of not jumping to conclusions about the events in our lives. We often label things as good or bad based on a very narrow view of time and circumstance. But we don't know the whole story. What feels like a disaster today might be the seed of a great blessing tomorrow. By holding our judgments lightly, we create a space for peace. We are no longer at the mercy of every changing wind. We can stay grounded in the knowledge that life is a vast and mysterious process, and our job is simply to meet each moment with as much grace as we can muster. The fourth great truth provides us with a practical map for this journey. It is not a set of rigid commandments, but a collection of signposts that help us stay on the path. It starts with how we see the world. If we see that everything is interconnected and that our actions have consequences, we naturally move toward a life of non-harming. It involves how we speak, how we act, and how we earn our living. It is a holistic approach to life that leaves no part of our existence untouched. It is like an old-fashioned compass. It doesn't walk the path for you, but it tells you which way is north so you don't get hopelessly lost in the woods. When we talk about right speech, for example, we are talking about more than just not lying. We are talking about speech that is helpful, timely, and rooted in kindness. Think about the impact of a single kind word. It can change someone's entire day. It can give them the courage to keep going when they feel like giving up. On the other hand, a harsh word can leave a scar that lasts for years. Our words are powerful tools, and using them with awareness is a vital part of our practice. Before we speak, we can ask ourselves, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? If it doesn't meet those criteria, perhaps silence is the most beautiful thing we can offer. Silence is not just the absence of noise. It is a presence in its own right. It is the canvas upon which the music of life is painted. In the silence between our thoughts, we find the whispers of our intuition and the echoes of our true nature. We live in a world that is terrified of silence, filling every spare moment with scrolling, music, or chatter. But if we can learn to be comfortable with silence, we discover a profound source of strength. We are no longer afraid to be alone with ourselves. We find that the quiet is not empty, it is full of a deep and nourishing peace. There was once a student who asked his teacher, "What is the difference between a master and a beginner?" The teacher replied, "The master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried." This is such a helpful reminder for those of us who feel discouraged by our slow progress. The path is not a straight line, it is a spiral. We often feel like we are coming back to the same old problems, the same old habits. But each time we return, we are at a slightly higher level of understanding. We see the patterns more clearly. We catch ourselves a little sooner. This is the definition of growth. As we move through the world, let us try to be collectors of goodness. We often have a collector of grievances mindset, remembering every slight and every injustice. What if we shifted our focus? What if we made it a point to notice every act of kindness, every beautiful flower, and every moment of connection? Our minds are like a garden, whatever we plant will grow. If we plant seeds of gratitude, we will harvest a life of joy. If we plant seeds of resentment, we will harvest a life of bitterness. The choice is ours, in every single moment. Think of the way a tree grows. It doesn't strain or shout, it simply reaches for the light. It puts down deep roots so it can withstand the storms. It offers shade to anyone who comes near, without asking for anything in return. We can be like that tree. We can reach for the light of wisdom, ground ourselves in the roots of our values, and offer the shade of our compassion to a world that is often weary. This is the simple and beautiful path that is open to each and every one of us. Every encounter is a hidden opportunity for practice. When someone cuts us off in traffic, can we wish them well? Perhaps they are rushing to the hospital, or having the worst day of their lives. When a child spills their juice, can we respond with a smile and a rag rather than a sigh of frustration? These are the real temples where we practice our faith. It is not in the grand gestures, but in the small, quiet choices we make when no one is watching. This is where the true transformation of the heart takes place. As we continue on this journey, let us remember to be gentle with ourselves. We are all works in progress. We are all learning to walk, and it is natural to stumble. What matters is that we keep getting back up. We are not alone on this path. We are walking with millions of others who share the same longings and the same struggles. Let us reach out a hand to those who are falling, and let us be humble enough to accept a hand when we are the ones on the ground. The wisdom we seek is not found in a distant future or a far-off place. It is here, in the texture of this moment. It is in the sound of your own breath. It is in the sensation of your heart beating. By turning our attention toward the present, we are turning toward the source of all peace. We are coming home to ourselves. And in that homecoming, we find that the search was never about finding something new, but about remembering what was always there. Let us move forward with a sense of lightness and curiosity. Let us be open to the magic that is hidden in the ordinary. Let us be kind, not because it is a rule, but because it is the most natural and beautiful way to live. The world is waiting for the unique light that only you can provide. By being your most conscious and compassionate self, you are fulfilling the greatest purpose of all. Let us walk together, with peace in our hearts and a smile for the journey. Thinking about the interconnectedness of all things, we realize that there is no such thing as a small act. Every smile, every kind word, and every moment of patience sends out a ripple that touches the entire universe. We are like stones thrown into a vast pond. The ripples we create might fade from our sight, but they never truly disappear. They interact with the ripples of others, creating a complex and beautiful dance of energy. By being mindful of the ripples we create, we take our place as conscious co-creators of our reality. This sense of responsibility is not a burden, it is a privilege. It gives our lives a deep and lasting meaning. We are no longer just drifting through life, we are active participants in the great unfolding of consciousness. We find that our individual happiness is inextricably linked to the happiness of others. As we help others to find their peace, we find that our own peace becomes more stable and profound. This is the beautiful paradox of the path. By giving away what we most desire, we find that we have more of it than ever before. Walking through a dense forest, we might notice how the tallest trees do not compete with the shrubs below, nor do the mosses feel inferior to the towering pines. Each element exists in a state of natural integrity, fulfilling its role without the burden of comparison. When we look at the way we lead our lives, we often find that a great deal of our mental friction comes from the habit of measuring our inner journey against someone else's outer appearance. We see the highlights of another person's life and contrast them with the quiet, sometimes messy reality of our own. This comparison is a thief that steals our contentment. The path reminds us that the only true measurement is the sincerity of our own heart in this very moment. Are we being kind to the person standing before us? Are we being honest with ourselves about our fears? These are the questions that ground us back into the soil of reality. In the ancient records of the Buddha's life, there is a story of a woman named Punna, who was a servant in a wealthy household. Her life was filled with hard labor, and she often felt the weight of her low social standing. One night, while she was up late pounding rice, she saw a group of monks walking mindfully in the distance. She wondered how they could be so peaceful while she felt so burdened. Later, she met the Buddha, and he did not see a servant or a person of low status. He saw a human being with the same potential for awakening as a king. He shared with her that true nobility is not born of lineage or wealth, but of the purity of one's actions and thoughts. Punna realized that her external circumstances did not define her internal worth. This shift in perspective allowed her to perform her daily tasks with a sense of dignity and grace that transformed her entire life. She found that she could practice mindfulness even while pounding rice, turning a chore into a meditation. This ability to find the sacred in the mundane is a vital skill for our modern lives. We often wait for a special occasion to feel happy or for a vacation to find peace. But life is mostly made of ordinary Tuesdays, washing dishes, and waiting in line. If we cannot find peace in these moments, we are missing most of our lives. We can learn to appreciate the simple miracle of a sink full of warm water or the rhythm of our own footsteps on the pavement. When we bring our full attention to what we are doing, the boundary between the self and the task begins to dissolve. We become the washing, we become the walking, and in that unity, there is a profound sense of ease. The struggle only exists when we are here but wanting to be there. There was once a famous archer who could hit any target from a great distance. He was very proud of his skill and traveled the land challenging others. One day, he met an old monk who invited him to a narrow wooden bridge over a deep chasm. The monk walked to the middle of the bridge, stood on one leg, and hit a distant tree with an arrow. He then asked the archer to do the same. The archer, looking down at the terrifying drop, began to tremble. His bow shook, and his arrow missed the target completely. The monk smiled and said, "You have great control over your bow, but you have little control over the mind that holds the bow. When the mind is steady, the circumstances do not matter. But when the mind is shaken by fear or pride, even the simplest task becomes impossible." This story highlights the importance of internal stability. We spend so much time trying to fix the external world, trying to make everyone like us and ensuring every situation goes our way. But the world is like a wild ocean. We cannot stop the waves from coming. What we can do is build a sturdy boat. Our inner practice is that boat. It allows us to ride the waves of success and failure, praise and blame, without being capsized. This doesn't mean we become cold or unfeeling. It means we have a center of gravity that is deeper than our changing emotions. We can feel the spray of the salt water on our faces and still keep our hands steady on the tiller. Think about the quality of a mirror once more. A mirror reflects whatever is placed before it, a beautiful flower, a heap of trash, a bright sun, or a dark cloud. The mirror does not judge what it reflects. It does not try to hold on to the flower or push away the trash. When the object moves away, the mirror remains empty and clear. We can train our awareness to be like that mirror. We can notice our thoughts of worry or our feelings of joy without becoming stuck to them. We see them, we acknowledge them, and we let them pass. This prevents us from building a story around our emotions that keeps us trapped in the past or worried about the future. We remain the clear space in which life happens. In the old stories, there is a gardener who was asked by a prince how to make the palace gardens the most beautiful in the world. The gardener replied, "Do not try to make them beautiful. Simply remove everything that is not a flower." This is a profound metaphor for our inner work. We don't have to create wisdom or manufacture peace. These qualities are already part of our fundamental nature. What we need to do is remove the weeds of greed, the thorns of anger, and the thickets of confusion that obscure them. As we clear away these negative habits, our natural light begins to shine through. It is a process of subtraction rather than addition. We are unlearning the ways we cause ourselves pain. Consider the nature of a candle flame. If you try to protect the flame by surrounding it with a glass jar, it will eventually flicker and die because it lacks oxygen. But if you leave it in a strong wind, it will be blown out. The flame needs a gentle, protected space to burn brightly. Our practice is like that protective space. We need enough structure to stay focused, but enough openness to breathe. This balance is found in the way we treat ourselves when we fail. Instead of harsh self-criticism, which is like the suffocating jar, or total indulgence, which is like the chaotic wind, we offer ourselves a kind and steady encouragement. We say, "This was difficult, but I can try again." This gentleness is the oxygen that keeps our inner fire burning. There is a tale of two neighbors who lived in a valley. One was always happy and the other was always miserable. The miserable neighbor asked the happy one, "How is it that you are always smiling while I am always suffering?" The happy neighbor replied, "Every morning I have two bags. One bag is for the things I can change, and the other bag is for the things I cannot change. I spend my energy on the first bag and I leave the second bag at the foot of my bed." The miserable neighbor realized he had been trying to carry both bags all day long. So much of our exhaustion comes from trying to control things that are simply not within our power: the weather, the past, the opinions of others, or the inevitable aging of our bodies. When we learn to set that second bag down, we find a sudden and immense reservoir of energy. This letting go is not a sign of defeat, it is a sign of profound wisdom. It is the recognition of reality. When we stop arguing with reality, we can finally begin to work with it. We see things as they are, not as we wish they were. This clarity allows us to make better decisions and to act with more effectiveness. We are no longer wasting our strength shouting at the rain. Instead, we are finding an umbrella or learning to dance in the storm. This is the practical application of the truths we share. They are not abstract concepts to be debated, They are tools to be used in the kitchen, in the office, and in our most difficult relationships. There was a student who went to a master and asked, "What is the most important thing to do to find peace?" The master replied, "Be kind to everyone you meet." The student was disappointed and said, "That's too simple, I want something deeper." The master laughed and said, "It is simple to say, but it is the hardest thing in the world to do. To be kind to someone who has hurt you, to be kind to someone who is arrogant, to be kind to yourself when you feel like a failure. This is the deepest practice there is. Kindness is the ultimate expression of understanding. It is the recognition that everyone is fighting a hard battle, and that our paths are all intertwined. When we look at the idea of right livelihood, we see that our work is not just a way to pay the bills. It is a major part of our footprint on the world. Does our work contribute to the well-being of others, or does it cause harm? Does it foster honesty or deceit? When our work is in alignment with our values, there is a sense of integrity that permeates our entire life. We can sleep better at night knowing that our efforts are part of the solution rather than part of the problem. This doesn't mean we all have to quit our jobs and become healers or teachers. Any job can be a right livelihood if it is performed with a spirit of service and a commitment to non-harming. The baker, the bus driver, and the accountant can all be sources of peace in their communities. Think about the way a bell sounds. The beauty of the sound comes from the emptiness inside the bell. If the bell were filled with lead, it would only make a dull thud. Our minds are often filled with lead, filled with opinions, judgments, and preconceived notions. This makes us heavy and prevents our lives from ringing with a clear, beautiful tone. When we practice letting go of our attachments to being right or being important, we create that inner emptiness. This emptiness is not a void, it is a spaciousness that allows life to move through us. We become more resonant, more responsive, and more alive. In the old texts, there is a story of a young man who was very angry and went to the Buddha to complain about his life. The Buddha asked him, "If you were walking in the woods and an old, hollow tree fell on you, would you be angry at the tree?" The man replied, "No, of course not. It's just a tree. It didn't mean to fall." The Buddha then said, "Then why are you angry at the people in your life? They are often like that hollow tree, acting out of their own rot and weakness, without any real intention to harm you. They are just following their own nature." This perspective allows us to move from anger to a kind of tragic pity. We see that people who cause harm are themselves in a state of great suffering. This doesn't mean we let them continue to hurt us, but we can set our boundaries without the poison of hatred in our hearts. This shift is incredibly liberating. Hatred is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It only ruins our own peace. When we let go of hatred, we are not doing a favor for the other person, we are doing a favor for ourselves. We are reclaiming our own heart. We are deciding that no one else has the power to dictate our internal state. We are choosing to be defined by our own kindness rather than by someone else's cruelty. This is true strength. It is the strength of the mountain that remains unmoved by the biting wind or the scorching sun. As we walk this path, we realize that there is no end to the journey because the journey is the point. Every breath is a destination. Every moment of awareness is a victory. We are not trying to get to a place where nothing bad ever happens. We are trying to get to a place where we are okay no matter what happens. This is a resilient, grounded kind of happiness that the world cannot give and the world cannot take away. It is found in the quiet intervals between our thoughts, in the warmth of a shared smile, and in the deep stillness of a mind that has stopped fighting against itself. Imagine a large, beautiful tapestry being woven. We are each a thread in that tapestry. Sometimes our thread is visible on the surface, and sometimes it is hidden underneath. But every thread is connected to every other thread. When we pull on one, the whole tapestry shifts. When we bring a little more peace into our own thread, the whole design becomes a little more harmonious. We don't have to save the whole world today. We just have to be a good thread. We have to be honest, kind, and present in the small space we occupy. This is how the world truly changes, not through grand gestures, but through the cumulative effect of millions of small, conscious choices. The wisdom of the path is like a map of a mountain. The map is not the mountain itself, but it can show us where the steep cliffs are and where the clear springs can be found. We still have to do the climbing. We still have to feel the ache in our legs and the sun on our backs. But having the map gives us a sense of confidence. We know that others have walked this way before us and that the view from the top is worth the effort. And even while we are climbing, we can stop and admire the wildflowers along the path. We don't have to wait until the end to be happy. Think about the way a river carves a canyon. It doesn't do it in a day. It does it through the steady, persistent flow of water over thousands of years. Our habits are like that canyon. They have been carved deep into our minds over a long period of time. Changing them also takes time and persistence. We shouldn't be discouraged if we fall back into old patterns. We just have to keep the water flowing in the right direction. Every moment of mindfulness is like a single drop of water. It might seem small, but over time, it has the power to reshape the entire landscape of our lives. In the old days, a king asked a wise man to give him a sentence that would be true in every situation, through both good times and bad. The wise man gave him a ring with an inscription that said, "This too shall pass." When the king was in the midst of a great victory, he looked at the ring and remembered not to become too proud. When he was in the midst of a terrible defeat, he looked at the ring and found the courage to keep going. This simple truth is an anchor for the soul. It reminds us of the transient nature of all things. Our joys are precious because they are fleeting, and our sorrows are bearable because they will not last forever. As we learn to embrace this transience, we find a new kind of intensity in our lives. We cherish our friends and family more because we know our time together is limited. We appreciate a beautiful day more because we know it will eventually turn to night. We are no longer trying to hold on to life with a desperate grip. Instead, we are cradling it gently, like a small bird that will soon fly away. This gentleness brings a sense of poignancy and beauty to even the most ordinary moments. We are truly awake to the fragile, wonderful mystery of being alive. There is a story of a traveler who was caught in a storm and found shelter in a small cave. Inside the cave, they found an old man who was sitting quietly, staring at a small candle. The traveler asked, "What are you doing?" The old man replied, "I am watching the light." The traveler said, "But it's such a small light, and the storm outside is so big. The old man smiled and said, "The storm is big, but it cannot come inside this cave unless I let it. And as long as I have this small light, I am not in the dark." We all have that small candle within us, the light of our own awareness and kindness. The storms of life will always be there, but they cannot extinguish our inner light unless we lose our focus. Keeping that light burning requires a certain kind of right mindfulness. This means being aware of our body, our feelings, our mind, and the nature of the world around us. It is like being a gatekeeper at a city wall. We watch what comes in and what goes out. We don't have to stop everything from entering, but we are aware of what is happening. We notice when a thought of greed arrives, and we notice when a feeling of compassion arises. By simply being aware, we are no longer at the mercy of our impulses. We have a choice. We can choose to nourish the thoughts that lead to peace and let the thoughts that lead to suffering wither away. This gatekeeping is a quiet, internal process. It doesn't require us to change our external appearance or join a special group. It happens in the privacy of our own consciousness. It is a radical act of self-responsibility. We are deciding that we are the masters of our own house. We are no longer letting every passing whim or every external event push us around. This leads to a sense of dignity and self-respect that is very attractive to others. People are naturally drawn to someone who is grounded and at peace with themselves. There was a group of people who were building a cathedral. A passerby asked the first worker, "What are you doing?" He replied, "I am cutting stones, it's a hard and boring job." The passerby asked the second worker, and he replied, "I am earning a living for my family." The passerby asked the third worker, and he replied, with his eyes shining, "I am building a magnificent cathedral that will inspire people for generations." All three were doing the same task, but their internal experience was completely different. The third worker had found a sense of purpose and connection that transformed his labor into a joy. We can find that same sense of purpose in our own lives, no matter what we are doing. We are all building something, our own character, our families, our communities. When we see the bigger picture, our daily tasks take on a new meaning. This sense of connection is at the heart of the path. We are not separate from the world, we are a part of it. When we help someone else, we are helping ourselves. When we harm someone else, we are harming ourselves. This is not just a moral teaching, it is a description of reality. We are all made of the same elements, we all breathe the same air, and we all share the same basic human needs. When we truly realize this, compassion becomes as natural as breathing. We no longer have to try to be kind. We are kind because we see ourselves in the other person. Imagine a world where everyone practiced this simple awareness. A world where people paused before they spoke, where they looked for the common ground instead of the differences, and where they treated themselves and others with a sense of gentle curiosity. It would be a very different place. And while we cannot change the whole world at once, we can change our own world. We can be the person who brings a little more light into the room. We can be the person who offers a listening ear. We can be the person who stays calm in the middle of a crisis. This is the real power of the teachings. They change us, and through us, they change the world. As we move through the next part of our day, let's try to be collectors of moments. Let's look for the small, quiet miracles that are happening all around us. The way a child laughs, the way the wind moves the leaves, the feeling of a cool drink of water. These are the things that make life rich. They are the mustard seeds that connect us to the universal human experience. By being present for these moments, we are honoring the gift of our lives. We are saying yes to the world, with all its beauty and all its pain. There was a wise woman who was asked, "What is the best time to start practicing?" She replied, 10 years ago. The questioner looked disappointed. Then she added, with a twinkle in her eye, "And the second best time is right now." We don't have to wait for the perfect conditions. We don't have to wait until we are older, or until our problems are solved. The best time to be kind is now. The best time to be mindful is now. The best time to let go of a grudge is now. Each moment is a fresh start, a clean slate. We can choose to be a little more awake and a little more loving in this very moment. Think of the way a gardener tends to a young sprout. They don't shout at it to grow faster. They don't pull on it to make it taller. They simply provide the right conditions, good soil, enough water, and plenty of sunlight. They have patience and trust in the natural process of growth. We can be that gardener for ourselves. We provide the conditions for our own growth through our daily practices of awareness and kindness. And then we have the patience to let our wisdom unfold at its own pace. We are not a problem to be solved, we are a life to be lived. As we continue on this journey, let us hold on to the sense of curiosity and wonder that we had as children. The world is full of mysteries and beauties that we often overlook because we are too busy or too worried. Let's take the time to look at things with fresh eyes. Let's be willing to be surprised. Let's find the joy in the unexpected and the beauty in the ordinary. This openness is the key to a vibrant and meaningful life. It keeps us young at heart and connected to the source of all creativity. The journey of understanding is a long and winding road, but it is a road that is filled with friends and allies. We are all walking each other home. We can share our stories, our insights, and our challenges. We can offer a hand to someone who is stumbling and accept a hand when we are tired. This shared journey is a source of great strength and comfort. We are part of a noble tradition of seekers and practitioners who have found peace in the midst of the world. Let's walk with grace and kindness, knowing that every step we take is a contribution to the light of the whole. The morning dew on a single blade of grass holds a universe of reflection, showing us that even the smallest things are complete in their own existence. We often rush past these tiny miracles because our minds are occupied with grand plans or lingering regrets, yet the essence of a peaceful life is found in the quality of our attention to these very details. When we look at the path of balance, we see it is not about reaching a far-off destination but about the grace with which we inhabit the present. It is like learning to ride a bicycle. At first, we wobble and lean too far to one side, then too far to the other, but eventually, we find that sweet spot in the middle where movement becomes effortless and the wind feels like a friend rather than an obstacle. There is an old story of a stonecutter who was dissatisfied with his life and wished to be more powerful. He saw a wealthy merchant and wished to be like him, and his wish was granted. Then he saw a high official and wished for that power, and again it was granted. He climbed the ladder of desire, becoming a king, then the sun, then a storm cloud, and finally a mountain. But as a mountain, he felt a sharp pain at his feet and looked down to see a simple stonecutter chipping away at his base. He realized then that the power he had been seeking through external change was already present in the humble life he had started with. This is the subtle trap of craving. It keeps us looking over the horizon for a peace that is already sitting quietly in our own lap. When we talk about the application of wisdom in our daily interactions, we must consider the energy we bring into a room. Have you ever noticed how some people carry a sense of quiet joy that seems to settle everyone around them? They don't have to say anything profound, their mere presence is a form of healing. This is the result of a mind that has stopped fighting with itself. During the Buddhist time, there was a monk named Meghiya who was very eager to find a quiet place to meditate. He found a beautiful mango grove and insisted on staying there alone, thinking that the perfect environment would bring him instant enlightenment. However, sitting in that beautiful grove, his mind became filled with more turbulent thoughts than ever before. He returned to the Buddha, confused and discouraged. The Buddha gently explained to him that a beautiful environment is not a substitute for a prepared heart. He taught Meghiya that the real work happens in the cultivation of 5 things: virtuous friends, ethical conduct, helpful conversation, persistent effort, and the wisdom that sees the rise and fall of all things. We often think that if we just had the right house, the right job, or the right partner, we would finally be at peace. But like Meghiya in the mango grove, we carry our restless minds with us wherever we go. The real environment we live in is the landscape of our own thoughts. By tending to that inner garden, we can find a sense of home even in the most chaotic circumstances. Think about the way a master potter handles the clay. They don't force it into a shape with aggression, they use a gentle, steady pressure that coaxes the form out of the spinning mass. Our habits are like that clay. If we try to change them through harsh self-will, they often crack or resist. But if we use the steady pressure of mindfulness and the warmth of self-compassion, we can reshape our lives into something beautiful and functional. This requires a great deal of patience. We cannot yell at a flower to make it bloom faster, and we cannot demand that our minds become quiet on command. We simply provide the right conditions and wait for the natural unfolding to take place. In the ancient chronicles, there is a story of a group of people who were arguing about which part of a tree was the most important. One said the roots, because they provided the foundation. Another said the trunk, because it held everything up. A third said the leaves, because they caught the sunlight. A wise elder overheard them and noted that if you remove any part, the tree is no longer a tree. It is the harmony of the parts working together that creates the life of the tree. Our spiritual path is the same. It is not just about meditation, or just about being kind, or just about understanding philosophy. It is the integration of our thoughts, our words, and our actions into a single, cohesive way of living. When our outside matches our inside, the friction in our lives begins to dissolve. Consider the nature of a river once more. When the water encounters a large rock, it doesn't stop and complain. It doesn't try to push the rock out of the way. It simply flows around it, finding the path that is open. This is the wisdom of adaptability. Many of our stresses come from our rigid ideas of how things should be. We have a rock in our path, a delayed flight, a misunderstanding at work, an unexpected illness, and we spend all our energy resisting it. If we can adopt the quality of water, we can acknowledge the rock and move past it with grace. This is not being passive, it is being highly effective. We are saving our energy for the things we can actually influence. There was once a famous painter who was asked to paint a picture of true peace. He created a scene of a high mountain peak covered in snow, standing against a clear blue sky. Another artist painted a similar scene of a quiet forest at dawn. But the painting that was truly admired showed a tiny bird sitting in a nest on a branch that was hanging directly over a roaring, violent waterfall. The bird was sleeping peacefully despite the noise and the spray. This is the peace that the path offers us. It is not the absence of noise or trouble, but a steadiness of heart that can remain undisturbed in the midst of it all. We find this steadiness by anchoring ourselves in the awareness of the present moment, which is the only place where true safety exists. Nourishing our sense of gratitude is like adding gold leaf to the edges of our lives. It doesn't change the basic structure, but it makes everything shine. We can practice this by noticing the things that go right, however small they may be. The fact that your heart is beating without you having to remind it. The fact that the sun rose again today. The fact that you have the capacity to feel and to learn. When we make a habit of looking for these gifts, we train our brains to see the world as a place of abundance rather than a place of lack. This shift in perspective is a powerful antidote to the poison of envy and the heaviness of discontent. There is a story of a merchant who was traveling through a desert and found a beautiful, clear pool of water. He drank his fill and felt incredibly refreshed. As he continued his journey, he met another traveler who was dying of thirst. The merchant didn't just tell him about the pool, he took the traveler by the hand and led him back to the water. In doing so, the merchant got to enjoy the cool water a second time through the joy of the other man. This is the essence of shared happiness. When we find something that brings us peace, the most natural thing in the world is to share it. In the act of sharing, our own experience is deepened and validated. We realize that we are not separate islands, but part of a vast, interconnected sea of life. The way we treat our own bodies is also a reflection of our understanding. Our physical form is the vehicle for our consciousness, and taking care of it is an act of respect for life itself. This doesn't mean becoming obsessed with appearance, but rather listening to the body's needs for rest, nourishment, and movement. When the body is at ease, the mind finds it much easier to settle. We can treat our bodies with the same kindness we would show to a dear friend or a beloved pet. This gentleness creates a foundation of physical well-being that supports all our other efforts on the path. Think about the quality of light at dusk. It is soft, inclusive, and seems to touch everything with a sense of quiet mystery. We can cultivate a dusk-like awareness, an observation that is not harsh or judging, but simply present for whatever arises. When we see a flaw in ourselves, can we look at it with this soft light? Can we see that our mistakes are often just clumsy attempts to find happiness? When we bring this kind of understanding to our own hearts, the walls of shame and guilt begin to melt. We become more transparent to ourselves, and in that transparency, there is a great deal of freedom. We no longer have to spend energy hiding or pretending. In the old stories, there is a king who wanted to find the most beautiful song in the world. He listened to the finest musicians and the most talented singers, but nothing quite satisfied him. One day, He heard a simple lullaby being sung by a mother to her child in a poor cottage. The song was not technically perfect, but it was filled with such genuine love and tenderness that it moved the king to tears. He realized that the beauty of a song is not in the notes, but in the heart behind it. Our lives are like that song. It doesn't matter if we are not the most successful or the most talented. What matters is the love and the sincerity we put into our daily actions. A simple act performed with a pure heart is more valuable than a grand gesture performed for the sake of pride. Building a life of integrity means that our values are not just things we think about, but things we live. It means being the same person when we are alone as we are when we are in a crowd. This consistency brings a profound sense of inner peace. There is no longer a conflict between our ideals and our reality. We are no longer afraid of being found out because we have nothing to hide. This honesty is like a sturdy staff that we can lean on when the path gets steep. It gives us a sense of self-respect that is not dependent on the approval of others. We know who we are, and we are at peace with that. There is a story of a traveler who was walking along a road and saw a man sitting by the side, crying. The traveler asked what was wrong, and the man said he had lost his way. The traveler sat down beside him and said, "I don't know the way either, but I can sit here with you for a while." Sometimes, the most helpful thing we can do for someone is not to give them advice or solve their problems, but to simply offer them our presence. In a world that is always trying to fix everything, the gift of being heard and seen without judgment is a rare and precious thing. It reminds the other person that they are not alone in their struggle. Mindfulness is the practice of coming back to this simple presence, over and over again. It is like training a puppy. When the puppy wanders off, you don't beat it, you gently pick it up and bring it back to the mat. Our minds will wander, that is their nature. They will go into the past or the future, or get caught in stories and judgments. Each time we notice this and gently bring the mind back to the breath or the present moment, we are performing an act of great kindness. We are teaching the mind that it is safe to be here, right now. As we become more skilled at this, we start to notice the gaps between our thoughts. In those gaps, there is a profound stillness and a sense of vastness. It is like looking at the sky between the clouds. The clouds are the thoughts, and the sky is the awareness. The clouds are always changing, but the sky remains the same, clear, open, and unaffected. By identifying more with the sky and less with the changing clouds, we find a sense of equanimity that can weather any storm. We see that our thoughts and emotions are just temporary visitors, and they do not define our true nature. There was once a student who asked a master, "How can I be more compassionate?" The master replied, "By realizing that you are exactly like everyone else." We all want to be happy. We all want to avoid pain. We all have fears and insecurities. We all have a heart that can be broken and a spirit that can be lifted. When we truly see this common humanity, compassion is no longer an effort, it is a natural response. We see the person who is acting out of anger and we realize they are in pain. We see the person who is being selfish and we realize they are afraid of not having enough. This understanding doesn't excuse their behavior, but it prevents us from adding more hatred to the world. Think about the way a single candle can light a whole room if the walls are covered in mirrors. Each act of kindness we perform is like that candle, and our interconnectedness is like the mirrors. The light reflects and multiplies, reaching far beyond the initial act. We may never know the full impact of a kind word we spoke to a stranger or a small gesture of help we offered to a neighbor. But we can trust that the energy of kindness is never lost. It continues to move through the world, touching lives in ways we cannot see. This is the true power of an ethical life. As we navigate the inevitable changes of our lives, the loss of loved ones, the aging of our bodies, the shifts in our circumstances, we can lean on the wisdom of the path. We see that change is not the enemy of our happiness, but the very nature of existence. By embracing change rather than resisting it, we find a new kind of freedom. We are like a surfer who uses the power of the wave to move forward rather than trying to stand still in the middle of the ocean. There is a sense of exhilaration and joy in this movement, a feeling of being fully alive and engaged with the flow of life. There was a group of children who were playing with sandcastles on the beach. They spent hours building elaborate towers and moats, filled with pride in their work. When the tide came in and washed the castles away, the children didn't cry. They simply laughed and started building again the next day. They understood that the joy was in the building, not in the keeping. We can bring that same spirit to our own endeavors. We can work hard, dream big, and create beautiful things, but we can also hold them lightly, knowing that they are temporary. This allows us to enjoy our lives fully without the crushing weight of attachment. The beauty of the natural world is a constant reminder of this wisdom. The seasons change without complaint. The moon waxes and wanes. The stars move in their ancient patterns. When we spend time in nature, we find it easier to reconnect with our own inner rhythm. We see that we are part of a much larger story, a story that has been unfolding for billions of years and will continue long after we are gone. This perspective brings a sense of humility and peace. We don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, we just have to play our small, beautiful part in the grand symphony of life. Let us carry a sense of curiosity into the next moments of our day. What can we learn from the person we meet next? What beauty can we find in a place we've seen 1,000 times? What new quality of the breath can we notice? This openness keeps our hearts vibrant and our minds clear. It is the secret to staying young at heart, no matter what our age. Life is an endless classroom, and every experience is a lesson in wisdom and love if we are willing to be students. Thinking about the path of the heart, we realize that it is a journey toward wholeness. It is about bringing all the disparate parts of ourselves, our light and our shadow, our strengths and our weaknesses, into a place of acceptance and love. When we are whole, we are no longer looking for something outside of ourselves to complete us. We find that we are already enough, just as we are. This realization is the source of a deep and lasting joy, a joy that radiates outward and touches everyone we meet. Watching a weaver at a loom, we see how the tension of the vertical threads allows the horizontal ones to create a solid fabric. If there were no tension at all, the cloth would be loose and useless, yet if the tension were too great, the threads would snap under the pressure. Our lives are woven in much the same way, between the demands of our responsibilities and the need for our inner quietude. When we look at the path of true understanding, we see it is not about escaping the world of action, but about finding a way to move through it with a heart that remains fundamentally at rest. This is the quiet art of being in the world but not of it, like a lotus leaf that sits upon the water but never becomes soaked by it. There is a story of a young student who went to a wise elder and asked how to deal with the many distractions of the mind. The elder led the student to the edge of a busy marketplace and told them to stand still and watch. People were shouting, carts were rattling, and the smell of spices filled the air. After a while, the elder asked, "What do you see?" The student replied, "I see 1,000 different things happening at once, and it is exhausting." The elder smiled and said, "Now look again, but this time, do not look at the people or the carts. Look at the space between them." The student realized that while the marketplace was crowded, the space itself was always empty, silent, and undisturbed. Our awareness is that space. No matter how many thoughts or worries move through our minds, the awareness in which they appear remains as vast and quiet as the sky. This realization brings a profound shift in how we handle our daily stress. Instead of trying to stop the noise of life, we learn to rest in the silence that surrounds it. We can be in the middle of a difficult meeting or a crowded subway and still feel that inner spaciousness. This is not a form of checking out or being indifferent. On the contrary, because we are not being tossed around by every little event, we can actually be more present and more effective. We see the situation more clearly because our vision is not clouded by our own reactive emotions. We become the calm eye of the hurricane, a point of stability that others can lean on when the winds of change blow hard. In the ancient times, there was a group of monks who lived in a forest where the weather was unpredictable. Some days were beautiful and sunny, while others were cold and rainy. One monk was always complaining about the weather, wishing for the sun when it rained and for a breeze when it was hot. Another monk simply went about his chores, wearing a cloak when it was cold and seeking shade when it was hot. He was asked how he could be so content regardless of the conditions. He replied, "When it rains, I let it rain. When the sun shines, I let it shine." This simple phrase, "I let it," is a key that unlocks the door to a great deal of peace. It is the practice of non-resistance. We stop fighting against the things we cannot change and start working with them. When we stop resisting our life, we find that we have a tremendous amount of energy that was previously being wasted on frustration. We can use that energy to create something beautiful or to help someone in need. This is the power of acceptance. It is not a weak giving in, but a courageous facing of reality. Once we accept that a situation is exactly as it is, we can then ask, what is the most helpful thing I can do right now? This question moves us from being a victim of our circumstances to being a conscious participant in them. We are no longer waiting for life to be perfect before we start living it. There is a story about a king who was very fond of his garden. He had a favorite tree that he spent hours admiring every day. One night, a great storm blew through the kingdom and uprooted the tree. The king was devastated and spent days in mourning. A wise gardener came to him and said, "Your Majesty, you loved the tree for its beauty, but the tree is gone. However, the soil that nourished the tree is still here, and the sun that warmed its leaves is still here. Why not plant a new seed and watch it grow?" The king realized that his grief was a form of clinging to a single form of beauty, while the source of all beauty is infinite and always present. He planted a new seed, and in time, he found joy in watching the new life unfold, different but equally beautiful. This lesson of the soil and the sun reminds us that our true essence is not tied to any one role or any one achievement. We are the soil of awareness, and the sun of our own capacity for love. Our jobs, our titles, and even our relationships are like the trees that grow in that soil. They come and go, they blossom and they fade. While we cherish them while they are here, we don't have to be destroyed when they leave. We have the capacity to nurture new growth, to find new meanings, and to continue our journey with a heart that is resilient and open. This perspective allows us to face the losses of life with a sense of dignity and hope. Consider the way a master calligrapher works. They dip their brush in ink and move it across the paper with a steady, confident hand. If they hesitate or worry about making a mistake, the line becomes shaky and the beauty is lost. They have to trust the movement of their hand and the flow of the ink. Our lives are like that brushstroke. We are constantly creating the story of our lives through our choices and our actions. If we live in fear of making mistakes, we become paralyzed and our lives become small and cramped. But if we move with trust and awareness, even our mistakes become part of a beautiful, flowing design. We learn to value the process of living more than the results of our efforts. Nourishing the mind with wholesome thoughts is like feeding a fire with good wood. If we use damp or rotten wood, the fire will smoke and sputter. But if we use dry, seasoned wood, the fire will burn bright and clear, providing warmth and light to everyone near it. We can choose what we feed our minds. We can choose to dwell on our grievances and fears, or we can choose to focus on gratitude, kindness, and understanding. This is not about being positive in a fake way. It is about being wise. We know that the quality of our thoughts determines the quality of our experience. By consciously choosing to nourish our better nature, we are creating a life that is fundamentally more peaceful and more joyful. There is a story of a young person who was very talented but also very arrogant. They thought they knew everything and looked down on those they considered less intelligent. They went to visit a wise teacher, and the teacher began to serve them tea. The teacher kept pouring the tea into the cup until it overflowed and started spilling all over the table. The young person shouted, "Stop! The cup is full, it can't hold any more." The teacher smiled and said, "Like this cup, you are full of your own opinions and judgments. How can I teach you anything unless you first empty your cup?" This is the importance of humility on the path. It is the willingness to say, "I don't know everything, and I am open to learning something new." This openness is the foundation for all true wisdom. The way we listen to others is a direct reflection of how empty our cup is. If we are busy preparing our next response or judging what the other person is saying, we are not really listening. We are just waiting for our turn to speak. But if we can set aside our own agenda and truly listen, we create a space of deep connection. We hear not just the words, but the feelings and the needs behind them. This kind of listening is a form of love. It tells the other person that they are seen and that they matter. It is often more healing than any advice we could ever give. Think about the quality of a mountain stream. The water is clear, cold, and always moving. It doesn't get stuck in pools of stagnant water. It keeps flowing, over the rocks and through the valleys. We can cultivate a stream-like mind, a mind that is always fresh and always moving. We don't get stuck in the pools of our past successes or our past failures. We learn the lesson and we keep moving forward. This prevents us from becoming rigid and allows us to stay responsive to the changing needs of the present moment. We are always beginning again, with a fresh heart and a clear mind. Building a life of ethical integrity is like building a house on a solid rock foundation. When the storms of life come, the house will stand firm. But if we build our life on a foundation of lies, greed, or harm, the house will crumble at the first sign of trouble. Ethical living is not about following a set of rules imposed by someone else. It is about living in harmony with our own deepest values. When we act with kindness and honesty, we feel a sense of inner strength and self-respect. We don't have to hide or pretend. We can look the world in the eye with a clear heart. This inner peace is the greatest wealth we can ever possess. There is a story of a woman who was very poor but also very generous. Every day, she would share the little food she had with the birds and the small animals in the forest. Her neighbors laughed at her, saying she was wasting what little she had. But the woman replied, "When I give to them, my own heart feels full. I am not losing anything, I am gaining a sense of connection with all of life." This woman understood a secret that many wealthy people never find, that true happiness is found in giving, not in getting. Generosity is not about the size of the gift, but about the spirit in which it is given. A single grain of rice given with love is more powerful than a kingdom given for the sake of fame. Mindfulness is the thread that connects all these practices. It is the awareness that allows us to see when we are being selfish or when we are being kind. It is the awareness that allows us to catch ourselves before we speak a harsh word. It is the awareness that allows us to find beauty in the middle of a busy day. Without mindfulness, we are like a ship without a rudder, tossed about by the winds of our impulses. But with mindfulness, we can steer our life in the direction of our highest values. We are the captains of our own souls, moving with purpose and grace toward a destination of peace. As we become more skilled at mindfulness, we start to experience a sense of timelessness. We are so fully present for the moment that the past and the future seem to disappear. There is only this breath, this sensation, this awareness. In this state, we find a profound sense of freedom. We are no longer burdened by the regrets of the past or the anxieties of the future. We are truly alive, right here and right now. This is the greatest gift of the path, the ability to be fully present for our own lives. There was once a student who asked a teacher, "What is the most important quality for a practitioner?" The teacher replied, "Persistence. It is not about being the best or the fastest. It is about not giving up. The path is long, and there will be many times when we feel discouraged or lost. But if we just keep taking the next step, we will eventually reach our destination." We can think of it like walking up a mountain in the fog. We can only see a few feet in front of us, but if we just keep moving upward, we will eventually break through the clouds and see the beautiful view from the top. The beauty of the natural world is a constant source of encouragement on this journey. The way the seasons follow one another with perfect precision. The way the seeds buried in the dark earth always find their way to the light. The way the tides rise and fall with the movement of the moon. Nature is always telling us that there is a larger order and a deeper wisdom at work. When we feel overwhelmed, we can look to nature and find comfort in its steady, rhythmic processes. We are a part of this same natural order, and we have the same capacity for growth and renewal. Think about the way a single drop of water, over many years, can wear away a hole in a solid rock. This is the power of small, consistent actions. We don't have to change our whole life in a single day. We just have to make one small choice for peace today, and then another one tomorrow. These small choices add up, like drops of water, and eventually, they change the entire landscape of our character. We are building a life of wisdom and compassion, one moment at a time. This is a very realistic and empowering way to approach our spiritual practice. As we navigate the complexities of our modern world, let's try to be islands of calm. When we encounter someone who is stressed or angry, let's not get sucked into their energy. Instead, let's offer them the gift of our own calmness. We can be a steady presence, a listening ear, or a kind word. This is how we can truly help others, not by adding more noise to the world, but by providing a space of quiet and understanding. Our own peace becomes a refuge for others, a place where they can catch their breath and find their own center. The journey toward greater understanding is also a journey toward greater joy. As we let go of our burdens and our attachments, we find that our natural state is one of happiness. It is not a loud, boisterous joy, but a quiet, steady radiance that comes from being at peace with ourselves and the world. We find beauty in the simplest things: a cup of tea, a conversation with a friend, a quiet walk in the evening. This joy is not dependent on external events, it is a quality of our own heart. Standing by the edge of a vast, tranquil lake at dawn, we see how the water perfectly reflects the sky, the mountains, and the ancient trees without clinging to any of them. When a bird flies across the surface, the water receives the image completely, and when the bird is gone, the water remains pristine and undisturbed. Our journey through these truths brings us to this very quality of being, a state where we are fully engaged with the world but no longer entangled by its many hooks. We begin to understand that the ultimate aim of our path is not to become someone extraordinary, but to allow the extraordinary nature of our own innate wisdom to shine through the ordinary moments of our lives. It is like finding a diamond that was hidden in the dust of our daily routines. The diamond was always there, perfect and brilliant, just waiting for us to clear away the layers of confusion. There is a beautiful story from the ancient forest traditions about a wanderer who was obsessed with finding the perfect sound. He traveled to great cities to hear orchestras and to high mountains to hear the wind, but he was always disappointed because every sound eventually ended. He finally met an old sage who was sitting in total silence. The wanderer asked, "Where is the music that never ends?" The sage pointed to the wanderer's own chest and whispered, "The music is the silence that allows the sounds to be heard." When we stop chasing after external experiences to satisfy our inner hunger, we discover a silent joy that is independent of what happens to us. This is the true meaning of a refuge, a place of safety and peace that we carry within ourselves, accessible with every single conscious breath we take. Living with this awareness transforms our relationship with time itself. We often live as if we are in a waiting room, hoping for the real part of our lives to begin once we finish our work, pay our debts, or reach a certain age. But the truth is that the real part is happening right now, in the feeling of the chair beneath you, the temperature of the air on your skin, and the movement of your thoughts. There is no other time than this, and there is no other place than here. When we truly arrive in the present moment, the frantic energy of becoming settles into the quiet grace of being. We find that we are already where we need to be, and we are already who we need to be. In the old texts, there is a story of a young man who was tasked with carrying a lamp through a dark, crowded street. His teacher told him that as long as he kept the light burning, he would never be lost, no matter how chaotic the crowd became. The young man realized that the light didn't change the crowd or stop the noise, but it gave him a clear space to walk. Our mindfulness is that lamp. It doesn't make the challenges of life disappear, but it illuminates the path so we don't stumble over the same old rocks of anger or greed. It allows us to move through the world with a sense of direction and a quiet confidence. We are no longer victims of our circumstances, but architects of our own internal state. Think about the way a master gardener treats a garden in the winter. Even when the ground is frozen and the trees are bare, the gardener knows that life is pulsing deep underground. They don't despair because there are no flowers, they trust the cycle of the seasons. We can develop this same trust in our own process. There will be times in our lives when we feel barren or cold, when our practice feels dry and our hearts feel heavy. These are the winters of the soul, and they are just as necessary as the springs. They are times of deep rooting, of quiet integration, and of gathering strength for the next season of growth. By honoring the natural rhythm of our own development, we find a peace that is not easily shaken by temporary setbacks. Consider the quality of a mountain once more. The mountain does not move when the clouds gather, nor does it rejoice when the sun comes out. It simply is. We can cultivate a mountain-like equanimity in our own hearts. When praise comes, we hear it and let it pass like a warm breeze. When blame comes, we hear it and let it pass like a cold wind. Neither one touches the core of who we are. This stability is not about being cold or indifferent, it is about being so deeply grounded in our own integrity that we don't need the world to tell us our value. We are like a tree with roots so deep that even the strongest gale cannot topple us. There was a famous monk who was asked to summarize the entire teaching in a few words. He replied, "Do good, avoid harm, and purify the heart." The person who asked was disappointed, saying that even a child of 5 knows that. The monk smiled and said, "Yes, a child of 5 may know it, but a man of 80 still finds it difficult to practice." This simplicity is where the real power lies. It is in the choice to be honest when it is inconvenient. It is in the choice to be kind to someone who is being unkind to us. It is in the choice to let go of a grudge that we have been nursing for years. These are the small, heroic acts that define a life of wisdom. They are the seeds of a quiet revolution that starts within our own hearts and ripples out to touch the entire world. Nourishing a heart of compassion is like opening the windows of a dark, stuffy room. Suddenly, the fresh air of connection blows in, and we realize that we are not alone. We see that every person we meet is carrying their own hidden burden of sorrow and fear. This realization softens our hearts and makes it impossible to be truly cruel. We move from a world of us versus them to a world of we. We see the shared human condition in the eyes of a stranger, and we feel a natural desire for their well-being. This compassion is the most powerful force in the universe. It has the power to heal old wounds, to bridge deep divides, and to create a sense of belonging that no material wealth can ever buy. There is an ancient story about a man who was walking through a field and saw a tiger. He ran, but the tiger chased him. He came to a cliff and climbed down a vine to escape. Looking down, he saw another tiger at the bottom, waiting for him. Two mice, one white and one black, began to gnaw at the vine. In that moment, the man saw a beautiful wild strawberry growing near the vine. He reached out, picked the strawberry, and ate it. How sweet it tasted! This story is a reminder that even when we are caught between the tigers of the past and the future, and even when the mice of time are gnawing at our lives, there is always a strawberry to be found. There is always a moment of beauty, a moment of sweetness, and a moment of grace available to us if we have the eyes to see it. Building a life of awareness means we are no longer sleeping through our own existence. We are awake to the texture of the bread we eat, the sound of the rain on the roof, and the warmth of a hand in ours. This wakefulness makes life feel incredibly rich and vibrant. We realize that we don't need a lot of things to be happy, we just need to be fully present for the things we have. Contentment is not about getting what you want, it is about wanting what you have. When we stop the endless chase for more, we find that we already have more than enough. This simplicity is a form of true wealth that can never be lost or stolen. Think about the way a single candle can light 1,000 other candles without losing any of its own flame. In the same way, our own peace and kindness are not diminished when we share them. In fact, they grow. When we offer a kind word to someone, we feel a sense of warmth in our own heart. When we help someone in need, we feel a sense of purpose and connection. We are all part of a vast, interconnected web of life, and every positive action we take contributes to the health of the whole. We are like cells in a single body, and our individual well-being is inextricably tied to the well-being of others. Mindfulness is the tool that allows us to stay connected to this reality. It is the practice of coming back, again and again, to the truth of the present moment. It is like a steady hand on the rudder of a ship, keeping us on course through the winds and the waves. As we become more skilled at this, we find that we can stay calm even in the middle of a storm. We see the waves, we feel the wind, but we are not afraid because we know how to navigate. This inner freedom is the greatest gift we can give to ourselves and to the world. It is the freedom to be who we truly are, beyond the masks and the roles we play. There is a beautiful story about a group of travelers who were lost in a dark forest. They were cold, tired, and afraid. One of them found a small, glowing coal in the ashes of an old fire. Instead of keeping it for himself, he carefully nursed it into a small flame and then shared it with the others. Soon, they all had their own torches, and together they were able to find their way out of the forest. This is the spirit of our shared journey. We are all travelers, and we all have a bit of light to share. By helping each other, we all find our way home. We are not competitors on this path, we are companions. As we move toward the culmination of our time together, let us hold on to the sense of spaciousness and ease we have cultivated. Let us remember that the peace we seek is not a destination, but a way of walking. It is found in every mindful step, every kind word, and every breath taken with awareness. We are each a unique expression of the same vast and mysterious life, and our journey is a vital part of the grand symphony of existence. We are the sky, the water, and the mountain. We are the silence and the sound. The beauty of the natural world continues to be our greatest teacher. The way the sun rises without fail, the way the ocean breathes with the tides, the way the trees let go of their leaves in the autumn. Nature is always in a state of perfect balance, even in its most chaotic moments. When we align ourselves with this natural wisdom, we find a sense of flow and ease that is truly transformative. We realize that we are not separate from nature, we are nature. This connection brings a profound sense of peace and a deep respect for all forms of life. Let us carry this sense of wonder and gratitude into all our future moments. Let us be kind to ourselves, recognizing that we are doing the best we can with the understanding we have. Let us be kind to others, recognizing that they are doing the same. Let us be kind to the earth, recognizing that it is the source of all our nourishment. This kindness is the ultimate expression of our wisdom. It is the fruit of our practice and the light of our world. Every encounter we have is an opportunity to practice these truths. Every challenge we face is a chance to grow in resilience and understanding. Every joy we experience is a moment to practice gratitude and letting go. Our entire life is a path of awakening, and every moment is a fresh start. We are always beginning again, with a heart that is more open and a mind that is more clear. This is the infinite potential of the human spirit. Think about the way a single drop of water eventually finds its way back to the sea. It may travel through rivers, clouds, and rain, but its destination is certain. Our own hearts are like that drop of water, and our home is the vast ocean of peace and wisdom. No matter how long the journey takes or how many turns we take along the way, we are always moving toward that source. We can trust the process, we can trust the path, and we can trust ourselves. As we move into the quietude of our own hearts, let us listen to the silent music that is always playing. It is the music of life itself, a song of beauty, of sorrow, of joy, and of peace. When we are still enough, we can hear it. When we are aware enough, we can dance to it. This is the dance of the heart, a dance of freedom and love that never ends. We are the dancers and the dance, moving in perfect harmony with the rhythm of the universe. May we all find the courage to be our most authentic selves. May we all find the strength to be kind, especially when it is difficult. May we all find the wisdom to see the beauty in every moment, even the messy ones. And may we all find the peace that is our true nature, a peace that surpasses all understanding and that shines like a steady light in the heart of the world. We are one, we are whole, and we are home.